Okay, I think I'm just about ready to switch over to the game. I realized I did not switch over the Twitch title, so I did not want to confuse people into thinking I'm playing East. So let's go into the game proper, and we'll give a very short summary of what happened last time. So our team decided to investigate the church with the classic Tales of Zestiria investigation, or Zestiria, I mean, and we discovered an abomination, or at least a large monster, underneath the church, and we decided not really to deal with it. We know that it eats demons. It's sealed away. It can't escape by itself. Presumably, it's very similar to how Velvet in the beginning of the game was sealed into the prison, given some of the colors and some of the images were very similar. So perhaps we can infer some facts about this particular monster's origins due to the similarities with Velvet, but I'll leave it a little ambiguous for now. So why don't we see what happens after we escape the church, and we're just gonna go about our daily business. Oh, first things first, we have to go collect stuff from Expedition.
All right.
I got a whole bunch of skills. They don't matter, chat. They don't matter. Oh, I forgot to get Magic Kazam. Remind me after the stream, Chris. I'll go get Magic Kazam. Let's oh, oh, poor Chris. Well, Bloodwing Man has something to say to us, and he says, "Oh, you're back in one piece. The boss has been waiting for you." Let's go get our rewards for beating the corrupted orb. We'll see if anything else is unlocked. It seems there are no more Code Red hunts for us to do. So we've gathered a few different abilities from this. No, nothing too crazy, nothing too crazy. So we'll just do a quick little detour. I'm gonna say over here, just to see if there's any new dialogue from any of these NPCs. I don't think I talked to some of them. Yeah, see, I think I missed talking to them. So we're gonna chat to this guy, and we're gonna head to the north just to make sure there's nothing more to say. We're being told to report back to the boss, but we don't do as we're told. So we're just gonna go ahead and go to the north. Get that one lone soul as we venture north. How's it going, Chris? How you feeling? No new dialogue from that character. Thank you, Tales of Berseria, for marking NPCs you could chat to with the green dot. I'm not sure if they should have changed it that after you talk to them, it should be a different color, but I do appreciate it at least marking it on the minimap. The Scarf Soldier says, "Is your task done? That'll stir up the hive. Hurry back to the tavern." Well, I guess since we have no one else to talk to, we might as well start heading back to the tavern. I guess I can also check one time to the south, just to make sure we're not missing any additional dialogue. I have a feeling they'll not say anything too special. Most of the interesting dialogue takes place not in situational events like these, but you never know. Chris has meant, yeah, I don't see any NPCs to chat to, so we're gonna turn around. Yeah, I'm just hoping that it takes a lot of the game design philosophy from Berseria. Like they could change the combat system. I don't care what they do with that, honestly. They tend to do that almost every Tales game, but in terms of like presentability and how easy it is to navigate these menus, the little things like the mini map, I think they're like 90% there. There's very little I would actually change, to be honest.
You did the job well, it seems.
You heard quickly.
That's about all I'm good for. And with these old ears, sometimes it's hard to hear it all.
And did you learn anything about the key for passing through the barrier?
Yes, only the high-ranking exorcists can enter through the barrier protecting Artorias and his temple. Exorcists are considered high-ranking if they are accompanied by at least 4 greater Malachim.
So if we had 4 powerful Malachim with us, we could slip through.
But Malachim outside the Abbey's control are rare. They thought this through. Well, I may not look it, but I'm a greater Moloch.
Aizen, Laphicet, and Bienfu. So we just need one more.
We'll have to steal it then.
So I have to come too? Sounds like a pain.
Then stay. We don't need you. We'll keep Bienfu, though.
You have no courtesy. How about, it would be an honor, Madame Magilu? More like that.
Would you come if we asked? To attack the shepherd?
Depends on how you ask. A battle between shepherd and demon sounds like a real fine spectacle.
I'm afraid this is just how Miss Magilu is.
Miss Magilu, I would like it if you came with us. Please.
Laphicet.
Well, what choice does that leave me? I suppose I could tag along a little while longer.
You can count on me.
Melchior will be there. You and I still share the same goal.
Our business is done. You can have this back.
Keep it, dear. As long as you have that, we will count you as an ally worthy of aid.
Allies of the ones trying to kill the Savior? You might regret that.
Such a considerate young lady. Listen, dear, all of us live on the fringes of their so-called reason, do we not?
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Velvet, wait.
My.
I can't blame him. It's been a long night.
Some aid for your allies?
Of course. Right away.
You're finally up.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. Getting sleepy or hungry is a natural part of life. I won't eat you.
What about your wounds? Feeling pain? That's also natural, right?
I'm fine. It was nothing.
You're really tough, aren't you, Velvet?
You have to be tough if what you seek is revenge.
Revenge?
We're leaving. Rokuro and the others are waiting at the plaza.
It switched us over to Laphicet, I see. I like that he's like... he's made much taller by the crown, chat. I'm very amused by that. Like, he's barely head level with the end of this bed. That crown makes him taller. Tabitha says, "See you later if you're still alive." Bloodwing Woman says, "These folks stayed up all night to pose as guards. Let them sleep for a while." Fair enough. Bloodwing Man says, "You've done a lot for us. I hope we meet again." And finally we have the Tavern Keeper, and he says, "Come back and have some mabo curry with us." I guess if we were to check our party, it would make sense we're only down to 2 people. Make sure that I'm not on auto. I prefer to play on semi-auto or manual, depending on the character.
What joy to face a clear, refreshing morning. Especially after a long night of meting punishment on my heartless betrayer.
My poor, battered body.
You better not kill our key.
You're one to talk. better not eat the boy. He's your precious key now.
I know.
Oh?
You're facing the Shepherd and an Empyrean. Old Shepsy's one thing, but Empyreans are, you know, just gods who created the world. You think you can win just by smacking it around a bit?
That's no Empyrean. It's a phony. Artorias is just using a legend to control the people. Wouldn't a true god be able to do something about the demon blight?
You don't believe in Innominat?
I believe there exists something people call Innominat. But it's just a Moloch that used a special art to bring the other Molochim into our world.
You sound confident.
I witnessed it 3 years ago.
Well, if it's not actually a god we're against, we just might stand a chance.
Of course we do. And ultimately, our target is Artorias. I don't care about anything else.
Revenge against Artorias. For her brother.
All right, Laphicet. Which way is the Empyrean's throne?
It was north of Logris. In the mountains up the Danan Highway.
If exorcists are keeping up their inspections, they might provide us a chance to steal another Moloch.
I sent my men a Sylph-J with orders to scout out the inspectors. With their information, we'll be able to plan the attack.
We can meet up at Port Zexon.
That's the plan.
Okay, so we have a couple skits to go through, and we'll talk about some other things in between.
Those Sylph-Jays are handy little birds, aren't they?
Not only will they always find their destination, they can make for emergency rations in a pinch. I hear grilled Sylph-J goes rather well with a nice glass of the hard stuff.
It's because of the work those birds do for us that we're able to stay one step ahead of the Abbey. Those birds are indispensable to us pirates, and we consider them a part of our crew. Don't even joke about eating them.
All right. Still, I wonder how they actually do their thing. I know that carrier pigeons rely on their homing instincts, but Sylph-Jays can locate a person wherever they are, right?
They're really smart birds. I read in a book that rather than memorizing locations, they can pick up on people's wavelengths. When you send out a Sylph-Jay, the bird can sense the change in your thoughts, and will seek out the recipient you have in mind.
I hardly ever see them in the wild. Are they a kind of Moloch or something?
No, they're not Molochim. They're just an incredibly rare species native to an island in the north. It's a funny story. A chance storm sent us docking at that island, and a mother Sylph-Jay got blown onto our ship, eggs, nest, and all. Sadly, the mother bird died almost immediately. But Benwick stepped in and kept her eggs safe and warm.
So that's why they're so attached to him. Usually, they're really hard to train as messenger birds, too.
That's Benwick for you. He's always had a knack for things that would give other people trouble.
Maybe when they hatched, they took one look at his wild hair and mistook him for their mother.
You know what? They are comfortable enough with him to use his head for their nest. So you might have a point. Now that you mention it, he did ask me not to hit him on the head, because one of the Sylph-Jays just laid her eggs.
Well, if more birds are on the way, we could just eat one to see how it tastes.
No! Don't even think about it!
It was worth a try.
Hello again! I'm Bienfu, a Moloch! Nice to meet you all! Just so you know, I'm a greater Moloch. You're a greater Moloch too, Laphicet! I'm sure we'll get along great! I'm classified as a greater Moloch?
That should be no surprise. You've got a lot of power, despite your appearance. You're a greater Moloch too, aren't you, Eisen?
So I've been told, but I can't say I care for measures made by folks who tether my kind.
I didn't know that's what it was.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. Just promise me you won't judge your own value from a label given to you by others.
I won't. I promise. What if that's all that gives me self-worth?
They're pirates and demons. Pay them no heed. To me, you are the greatest of all.
The greatest? Do you really mean it? Oh, Miss Magilu, you're so kind! You've changed so much since I left.
But you haven't changed at all. You are eternally my greatest servant.
Oh, I don't want to be the greatest then. Oh, this is bad, bad.
And our roster of the oblivious grows longer.
I am a little amused by Bienfu in that cutscene, but I see the chat has still strong hatred towards Bienfu. One thing I want to draw attention to, which I haven't mentioned, but I feel like now is about the time to mention it, is that now that Laphicet is kind of reawakening, I mean, other than his eyes having a bit more luster, I like that in that last cutscene with Bienfu in particular, his little, I'm not sure what you call that, but that little lock of hair that sticks up is very expressive in the cutscenes. So normally it kind of forms like a question mark whenever he's inquisitive, or if he gets flustered, it kind of flattens out. I kind of like that as an additional expression for his character. I'll just get rid of these items just to sell them for extra cash. So we didn't get into any new combat, but figured we'd do some cleanup while we're here. So it seems like we have a couple more skits to do, so let's see what this person has to say.
I hear the High Priest was injured and will be recuperating somewhere for the near future. The church is saying he was cleaning his villa when something fell off a shelf and hit him. But there's also rumors that thieves snuck into the palace and attacked him. If that's true, who could have done it? He's always been there for the people, and everyone looks up to him.
What a terrible rumor.
Indeed. I want to believe it's just that, a rumor, but it's got the children all frightened.
I'm not scared at all.
Liar! Sis saw you crying. I'm the one who's not scared at all. If any bad guys show up, I'll handle them.
Ooh, scary. I'm sure bad guys won't come near you.
Something fell off a shelf? Nice. They're doing a really good job of covering this up.
If it got out that the High Priest was murdered, and in the castle of all places, the people would lose faith in the government.
I do like the fell off the shelf thing. The housewife says, let us pray that High Priest Gideon makes a swift recovery from his wounds. Well, I have some bad news for her. I don't think that's gonna happen. The sun's wishing those that hurt High Priest Gideon to be punished. I guess we'll have to see if we make it through the game. And see if Chad, if that boy's prayer of us getting punished becomes answered. We're gonna make our own correlations and determinations whether or not we feel the protagonist, as well as characters like, I would say, Tabitha, if you feel Tabitha was punished at all for what happens. Let's advance the plot a little more just to see how the town continues to react. So they're asking about a break-in. Middle official apparently says unfortunately yes, but it seems it was just a burglar. The young official saying that the Abbey has captured the culprit and handed him over to the guards, so there's nothing to worry about. It's a little bit of a misinformation there, chat, because, I mean, clearly we were the quote-unquote burglar, and we clearly are not caught. So it looks like a little bit of a cover-up, chat. High Priest here says, I'm ordering silence regarding the incident. If the Abbey wishes to handle it internally, then it is best to do as they say. Priest says, you're right. That way the High Priest's name will remain untarnished. Noticing some connection issues, unfortunately. So we're going to take a little bit of a pause just to let things kind of catch up. So we still got about 7 minutes here. I mean, I guess we can look at the skill list because this is not, like, super important or, like, relevant to the plot, but I haven't really discussed it that much. So as we level up, we'll gain additional skills. So I'm just going to highlight each of the skills and talk about how I feel if any of them are useful or not. Yeah, it looks like the stream's starting to catch up very slowly. So we'll get it there. So I think the ones that I do appreciate is probably the experience ups and the food ups. So at level 1, we get the Rengetsu basic training. Scholarly Drive increases how much we get, which is good because I use that for the cooking recipes. This one just says we can have more skills trigger at once, which is kind of useful. We could see that some of these are kind of okay. I don't think I really use the rare food rate up, honestly, all that much, but I feel like towards the end, once you get past like level 15 or so, I feel like the experience ups don't really matter. But apparently we found all 20 out of 20 treasures. So we'll take a look at those probably towards the end, because I feel like some of them are more references to other Tales games, and I feel like that kind of goes more into the post-game kind of cleanup. But we'll acknowledge that we've attained all 20 treasures related to the islands. Okay, I think the stream is all caught up, so let's continue with another skit, this time with the dog.
Ah, right, I know. That's what I said.
Magilu, you know how to speak dog?
Of course, it's Witchery 101.
Wow. What's it saying?
Humans always say every dog has its day, but I've never met a dog that had its own day. What about me? When's my time in the limelight? As you can see, he's very upset.
Sorry, boy. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
So he goes, woof woof. Luffy said, or not Luffy said, Magilu then explains, it was a math problem. He explained that 1 + 1 is 2. Mm-hmm. Lots of dog puns, chat. Dog-eat-dog world out there. Or at least expressions, anyway. So we've talked to everybody in the southern areas. Let's backtrack into the bar, just to make sure nothing else lit up since we left. In terms of additional conversations. So no new hunts, to be expected. Okay, nothing has reset. That's just what I wanted to confirm. We're gonna go ahead and talk to the father. Is asking presumably his daughter if she had a nice walk together. And the daughter says, if he wants to run all the time, so he ended up dragging me the whole way, I'm exhausted. Okay, I think this was the little girl asking about the dog. I think we had a different conversation with her earlier. The father says, sounds like you've had your work. I think it's supposed to be cut out for you. I think there's a word missing there, chat. I'm pretty sure the phrase is supposed to be, sounds like you've had your work cut out for you. But with a little practice, I'm sure you can train him. The girl says, I'll give it my best. Well, let's continue along here and just kind of hit point by point. Oh, another dog.
Yeah, seriously. I know, come on.
What's this dog saying?
Humans always say, let sleeping dogs lie, but do you ever let me nap? No. Stop all the petting and let me sleep. I mean, come on. Practice what you preach. That's what I always say. You humans are all bark and no bite. As you can see, she has a lot of criticism for the systematic injustices practiced by a hypocritical and tyrannical human society.
That is one astute doggy.
Yip yip, chat. Bokuro is asking, and what did that mean? Magilu explains, he's practicing self-empowerment, so he said, I can do it, yes I can. Townsperson says, there's an awful lot of soldiers around, strange considering the ceremony's over. Very strange. Hello, maid. I think she was working, so she missed most of the festival. I think that was her backstory. Part-time maid says, I love your music. Please teach me how to play. Teach me everything you know. The musician says, well, Well, if you want. So it seems like a relationship is slowly blooming there. And then there's, I guess he was putting on a performance and she went up to him, so we're kind of seeing it mid-action. So townsperson says, oh, to be young like that again. Hello, merchant. That looks very heavy. But let's speak to him.
Hey, I remember you. I'd never forget someone dressed as weird as you guys. You're those traveling misfits. The ones who did that dove act in Logris. Mad Lou's Menagerie, right?
It's Magilu's Menagerie. Get it right or pay the price. So, you saw us in Logris?
That's right. I was there on Port Zexon business. I really looked forward to seeing you perform, but it never happened. But today's my lucky day. How about performing here in Port Zexon tomorrow? I want to see that sullen girl go coo again. It was hilarious. And that magician's dove trick, too.
Sure, but I'll have you know we don't come cheap.
Oh, I've got the money. I'd pay anything to see that again.
No.
Oh, come on, please.
Take a hint.
Hey now, don't be like that.
Sorry, friend. Best give it up. Otherwise, my apprentice here might show you a special trick she's been itching to practice. One where she makes you disappear.
Ooh, that sounds fun. Do it.
If you insist. But just a warning, there's no guarantee you'll make it back. Still want to try?
Wait, seriously?
Seriously. And remember, it's Magilou's menagerie. See you at our next show.
Visiting merchant says, magic to make me vanish? Not entirely sure if I want to see that. Well, you won't see it if you vanish. Hello, Red Scarf Soldier. What do you have to say? It says, you could go on inside, but you won't be able to get into the villa from here anymore. Yeah, so that's why I was remarking last time. That other chest is very hard to get to, because it blocks it off for quite a lot of the game. So if you miss it there, you do have to remember to backtrack, like, many, many, many hours from now. Small girl says, I want to see the ocean. Let's go to the harbor, sis. Pretty please. Older sister says, sorry, but it's too dangerous. There are demons along the road, even close to the city. Small girl says, aw. Velvet thinks to herself she wants to see the ocean. Mad Lou's Menagerie.
Oh.
So as we'll see later, there's going to be a follow-up to the Magilou's Menagerie. I think the chat very much enjoyed last time. So we'll see references to that throughout the game. But in the meantime, let's talk to the church official. Church official says, someone's been feeding stray cats here, I know it. Now there are droppings all over the garden. Cat-loving priest says, what is a stray cat? A friend without a home, I say. So yeah, we had quite a lot of dogs within the city itself, and then we had the cat-loving priest kind of meditating out in the garden at night earlier. Out of curiosity, how far in are we allowed to go here? Oh, quite a bit. It seems like we can have another conversation, too. Boy says, she wants to make a confession to the Empyrean. The girl confesses, I broke one of my little brother's toys. The church official laughs and says, I'm certain the Empyrean will forgive you. I suggest you go and apologize to your brother. The girl responds with, alright, I can apologize for eating all the cakes while I'm at it. Okay, little skip there. Let's talk to this person, and then we'll wrap up by investigating the next skit. Ooh, bronze scrap is actually really good for us, because we're very low. The priest says, I'm afraid the high priest will not be holding services for a while. More like he'll never be holding services again, but sure. So he goes, I'm dreadfully sorry. Townsperson says, I see. If he isn't well, that's entirely understandable. I pray for his recovery. Well, I don't think prayers are going to help him. What do you have to say, priest?
Come, sinner, and repent your wicked deeds.
Are you talking to me, perchance?
I am. You look so deeply sinful, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Now confess!
Oh, how long have I waited to bare my soul to someone? But I've always lacked the courage. Praise be to the Empyreans who have bestowed upon me this chance today.
Ah, your devotion to the Empyreans is most...
No! It is you who has captured my devotion, my darling. There's no one else I want but you.
What? Me? But my life is in service to the Empyreans.
Hush. I want you to look at me the way I look at you. Hold me, darling. Smother me in your embrace.
I don't...
Those were the kind of lines I read in a romance novel. It wasn't even that exciting a book. I wasted so many hours with that piece of trash. Please, forgive me for not putting myself to better use.
Ah! Lying! To a priest! How could you?
Oh no, I meant to confess my sins, but instead my confession was another sin! Forgive me, Father, I've transgressed once more.
I don't want to forgive you!
Do not toy with the pure heart of a priest. I don't know, chat. I find those pretty funny. Like, I've seen them a few times, so I'm not laugh out loud laughing. But the first time I played through, I very much enjoyed them. I still think Velvet's is the best. But I do like Magilou toying with the priest quite a bit. Oh, Magilu. Oh, we have another musician over here. Woman's friend says, how pleasant. I could get used to this. Lovesick woman responds, hey, hands off. I had my eyes on him first. Woman's friend's like, no, you don't. I'm talking about the music. And the musician tells him to quiet down. He's in the middle of a performance. Love unrequited, chat. So let's see. A lot of people are asking about all the patrols. I mean, I guess there's slightly more soldiers. Let's see. Townsperson asking what happened. Soldier says, just a minor incident at the palace. Extra security is a precaution. There's no need to worry. It's true. We're not going to remain in this city, so they're probably okay. So the boy's asking if dogs really can catch demon blight, and the youth explains that he's heard it happening to animals. If this little guy turned into a demon, it'd be worse than my girlfriend turning into one. Youth's friend says, come on, man. Talking like that's only gonna get you in hot water. So they're now introducing the concept that demon blight is not restricted to humans, which I don't know if it's been explicitly stated as of this point in the game, but it's nice to get the confirmation. Oh, look, a dog, chat.
What's that? Oh, that statement could shake the very foundation of man's relationship with his self-professed best friend!
Huh? What did he just say?
Humans call us man's best friend, but they consort with the foul felines. The hound may be faithful, but not the man, he quietly stated, a look of betrayal in his eyes.
That's a shock. I didn't know dogs felt that way about us.
You jealous dog, you.
Magilu explains that arf arf translates into humans are only better than apes because they gave me food, but otherwise they are arful. Luffy asks if she just made it up. Indeed, she probably did. Hello, Stern Instructor. So we've talked to the instructor, I think, a few times now, and maybe the dancer once. So they seem to be reoccurring characters here. So we'll draw extra attention to them. Plus, the dancer has a unique graphic, so we'll pay attention to her in particular. Let's see what the Stern Instructor's saying. Let's see. It's all about subtlety, I tell you. Give the punters a show that's just a little better than yesterday's. Keep doing that and you'll be on the road to success. Just a little bit better. Got it.
Lord Artorius' speech really struck a chord with me. I'm sure everyone else in town feels the same way. Actually, it would be problematic if they don't.
Why would you have a problem with that?
One word, lady. Business. The ceremony to move the great Empyrean Innominat is going on now, right? After a speech as moving as that, anyone would want to offer a prayer to the new Empyrean. Which is why I'm selling commemorative chalices. They've just come in from Port Zexon.
Oh, Innominat's blessings are many indeed. Are you decorating the chalices with anything?
I'm just about to deliver them to the craftsman to get them engraved.
I just hope all this effort doesn't go to waste.
Impossible! This is the perfect opportunity. I guess amateurs just don't get it.
I may not know business, but I know how this story ends.
Artorius, this ceremony, all of it. I'll end this by my own hand.
I think of all the characters I didn't think would show up again and have like additional plot related to them, this character is probably my favorite NPC because I didn't really think anything of this NPC the first time I played the game, other than I'm like, oh, he's trying to do chalices, and obviously Innominat is going to turn out to be something awful because it's like what the game has been hinting the whole time. But I really, really like the payoff with this character later. I feel like it's a lot more impactful when you see this character after a very specific event. So we'll keep in mind there's a shrewd merchant talking about selling sacred chalices. He says, think about it. Buyers will be moved. The abbey will become even more popular, and I'll be rich. Everyone comes out a winner. Pretty savvy, don't you think?
Man, I've been feeling really out of it recently. I was much happier when I was drinking sweet, sweet nectar. It suddenly got a lot harder to get. The price shot up 20 times in the black market. I came to the capital hoping it'd be easier to find, but no one's got any.
Give it up. It's got vermilion ore in it.
What? Vermilion ore? I heard that stuff is crazy addictive. Real bad news.
It'll be easier to quit now that it's harder to find. Real sailors don't need that crap, right?
Yeah, you're right. I don't need nectar. From now on, I'm going to the bar after work. Hey, buddy, thanks for the tip.
Drunken Sailor says, these days I struggle to fall asleep without a nighttime tipple. Well, I was gonna say it was showcasing Aizen's, I guess, humanity, I guess is the word I'm looking for, where there's some compassion towards the plight of another sailor. But then he's just gonna get drunk at another bar. So he's trading one addiction for another. I mean, I guess it's maybe a net positive because drinking is less addictive than the nectar might be, but you know, it's small steps, I suppose. So the soldier says, "Let us take the same vow as Lord Artorias to offer our lives in service to the people." The townspeople reply, "We will join you. Let our combined strength overcome disaster and reclaim peace and prosperity." So I think that about wraps up Logris at this point. We're told safe journeys, and there's no one else to speak to, so let's leave the capital. Now, this is one of the things that probably does annoy me about Berseria, is that, like, I love that you have a fast travel system. I dislike that a lot of the times where I would want to use it, you're not allowed to go there. So there's a cutscene that we'll see as we go further north, and the game will stop us from skipping that cutscene by stopping us from fast traveling.
We're to meet up with the scouts at Port Zexen.
You know what, chat? I'm gonna do a hard save. One moment. I'm just gonna make a new save. We can have 1,000,000 saves. It's fine, chat.
Woo! It's a biggie!
I think what I want to do is now that I have multiple party members, I think I want to fish for the dangerous encounter boss. Especially now that we're a lot more powerful in general. So I guess one thing I want to chat about while I'm just kind of murdering these enemies is the differences between the different combat styles. So I mentioned before that there was auto, which we saw was in red text very briefly on the character select screen. There's also semi-auto and manual for control modes. And the way those modes work are very different between each game. Oh, we actually got art attack +5. That's nice. One moment. Oh, we actually don't have alternatives for her. That's a shame. So one thing I just want to kind of mention with that is that, unlike some of the other Tales games, if you are in automatic mode, you can actually do manual inputs during auto, which is kind of amusing. So if you find yourself kind of bad at dodging, or you just can't guard, for example, like you just can't predict what the enemy's going to do, you're allowed to actually dial in combos in auto mode. And if at any point you stop controlling the character, you can take advantage of the AI's ability to dodge or block. And like 90% of the time, the AI will do the right thing. And you can kind of get through the game that way, just in case you find it too hard, or maybe the combat doesn't click with you. One downside to playing auto like that versus something like semi-auto or manual is that the game will not allow you to change mystic arts. So what I mean by that is that you can initiate a mystic art yourself if you're auto-controlling that character, but you cannot then go through the line of characters.
Let's go.
Like how I was doing earlier. So your damage potential will be much lower when you get a stun that way.
What's the matter, Laphicet? You look like you're not feeling well.
Doesn't he always?
You can stay out of this.
You're a demon swordsman. Aizen is a cursed Moloch. Magilu is a bizarre witch. But what am I?
Turning existential here.
You're Velvet's tool and emergency rations, aren't you?
That's what Lady Teresa called me too. A tool. But I'm alive.
I get it. You're starting to wonder what your place in the world is. In that case, there's only one answer. You have to decide it.
Huh?
It's all up to you. It depends on what you want.
That's what it means to be alive. You control the rudder of your life. Your hands on the wheel.
My life. My rudder.
Doubts are okay too. They're just further proof you're alive.
I'll protect you until you find your answer. Your arts have helped me often enough.
All right. I don't really understand. But thank you.
Pretty words and all. But take care who you listen to, kid. Demons and reapers, remember?
I hear there's a wicked witch about too.
Get going or get left behind.
Ah! We risk the wrath of the revenging reprobate! For now, let our rudders take us forward!
I like that the party is like slowly bonding with themselves, but Velvet so far is just basically kill Artorias, kill Artorias. It'll change a little as we get further into the game, but I do find that amusing. So, as I said before, if for whatever reason you find the game too difficult, auto mode is there for you. Or if you just want the AI to play the game, if you don't have it on a very high difficulty, generally you could get away with that most of the time. Except maybe the bonus bosses. I'm not sure if you could just beat them purely on auto without really understanding how to level up the character. So I guess we'll talk about the differences between semi-auto and manual. So there's not too many differences. The major difference between them and why you want to switch them is that semi-auto makes you walk forward until your move is within a certain range that will automatically hit the target. I just want to check one thing. Sorry, chat. So I got a new... Oh. She actually used 10,000 spells. Good job. So anyway, what I was saying, the big difference is that you'll walk forward until you're able to strike the enemy, which is semi-auto, but manual will let you use the technique regardless of the distance. And the reason you might want to switch to manual for some characters over semi-auto is that some attacks are very slow, but they have a very big reach. So you don't want to walk forward to the point that you're able to strike them, but instead lead the shot preemptively. I feel Magilu is like one of those characters I'll definitely always play on manual for that reason. I do not want to go into close range. I'd rather the enemy try to gap close against me. But those are the big considerations to consider between the different modes. I think it makes more of a difference in the other Tales games, for example, because it impacts things like dashing. Like, it's easier to dash in some of the older games on manual. I don't think that really applies to this game, to my knowledge.
Come on, really?
Yeah, generally speaking, it's better to probably leave it on manual just to get used to the distances. But when I'm playing a character like Laphicet or Velvet, I don't really care. I'll just let him walk forward manually. It doesn't make a big difference. Sometimes I'll also do Rokuro on manual, because I just want a Hurricane Thrust spam, and I don't want him to walk towards the target for that. It really just depends on the character playstyle. Laphicet, as I said before, is one of those characters I really don't care about. Because my attacks are 360 and fairly quick, so it doesn't matter. Oh, I got interrupted.
Try as they might, it won't change anything.
So Chris is wondering what difficulty to play it at for beginning the game. I mean, I would say I would leave it on normal at first. And what I would say, if you play kind of like how I do, is that if you find the game is too easy, just pump it up to hard mode. You can swap at any time. It's not like you're hard choosing a difficulty. Generally speaking, if you're looking to get more items, or at least better equipment, it's probably good to probably pump the difficulty up a little bit. But generally speaking, I hold off on making the difficulty too hard until I at least unlock the weapon crafting ability. Because crafting your weapons makes such a big difference in terms of power, and you will find the difficulty will drop significantly once you get to that point. Whereas I feel like for a new player trying to play as Velvet on hard mode, before you get things like cooking even, I would think that would be a little too difficult for most new players. So I would say try it on normal, and then post those two things. Consider bumping it up. Because funny enough, if you play on the harder difficulties, because you get better equipment, it makes the game easier. Just keep in mind that this game kind of limits what kind of equipment you can get by what difficulty you're playing on. So you can end up getting a lot of gear with a big plus bonus compared to if you just played on normal. So it does reward you in that way. Searing Edge, chat. These enemies are so dead, chat. They have no chance. I kind of feel bad for this enemy. I'm just kind of comboing him to death. He can't really stop it.
Come on, really?
Wow, we are getting a massive grade bonus. I'm hoping we get a dangerous encounter soon with the... I said dangerous encounter, but technically the ambush encounter. I'm looking to get ambushed by the boss. Hopefully he does ambush us. This is just kind of a massacre. And honestly, I would say if you stick to Velvet, if you're playing the main game, she's very powerful. She has a lot of combo resets, as you can see here. Like, I do the stun, and I can hit R2 for the Consuming Claw. And as long as you keep going on a killing spree, I mean, like, she's basically unstoppable. They put in a lot of mechanics for new players to take advantage of it. So even if you aren't, like, super comfortable with the game, she has a lot of moves that either combo reset, or really good at stun, or just naturally juggle. Like, she probably has the most fluid moveset of the characters, and I think the game is designed around the intent that you try to beat most bosses as her. But personal preference, when we're playing on higher difficulties, you will see me often swap into Rokuro, just because Rokuro is able to get that guaranteed stun, and we see how unfair stun is in this game. So getting that makes a big difference for me, personally.
A foe worth killing.
I'm contemplating if it's worth risking getting an actual dangerous encounter here. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I would say in terms of power for protagonists, she's probably the most broken one that I've played. Like, she is just far and above, so much better than the other Tales protagonists. Now, I haven't played some of the spin-off games, so, like, I've heard that Symphonia 2, for example, had a very overpowered main character. I'm not able to debate that. I have not played that one. But from the main Tales series, she is by far the most powerful character in the game. I mean, she literally cannot die while she is in this mode, where you see her little health gauge becomes like a jagged claw-like object. So she is just so stupid overpowered. Like, you don't even need equipment to be really, like, powerful with her. Like, her stuff automatically hits enemy weaknesses, and it's just nasty, chat. It is nasty.
Stop fooling around.
But I'm serious about my fooling around.
She's serious about her fooling around, chat. So we're gonna go ahead and switch rings yet again. So I think we've mastered just about everything at this point, which is good. So I can move on to the Floric Band, which gives us more defense. Downside is I lose focus. She is dependent on getting, I would say stun, which isn't heavily influenced or possibly influenced at all by focus. However, she does have a lot of status ailments, which is a shame if she doesn't end up with high focus. Kind of like Rokuro. He could potentially add a lot of status ailments, but unlike Velvet, Rokuro has that really unfair counter boost stun advantage, so I feel like his focus is the least important in the game. Now, for characters like Aizen or Magilu, I find it very important to get high focus, not only for the ability to get the status ailments off, but also to have the increased SP regeneration. So basically, the spellcasters are trying to get focus as high as possible. Velvet is like second or third priority, and Rokuro, I literally can dump it. I don't need it on Rokuro to be broken.
A foe worth killing.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we played the Magilu skit about her being serious about fooling around. It is a good line. Ooh, nasty combos. Plus, if you know about Rising Moon chat, it makes the game much
I
easier.
unleashed all my power. Maybe I overdid it.
Oh, she actually got increased attack power. Nice. Now, the downside is that we haven't gotten any more equipment for her, so I don't want to go too crazy on, like, leveling here. I want to see if we could get into a group encounter or not. I might have killed too many monsters. Yeah, I think I made a mistake. Oops. I killed too many monsters. My bad, chat. I should have been paying attention to which ones I defeated, because I could have easily just left to the south and reset the monsters, but I wasn't paying attention, so I dropped that grade bonus. But you can see overall, we're doing a lot better. Like, combat is going much smoother. I think it's about time we try one dangerous encounter. I need to understand my limits with the characters right now, since we're playing on a very high difficulty, quote-unquote. These enemies have not scaled with us yet, so we're able to beat them. But out of curiosity, once we take this expedition, are we actually able to... Oh, no. That was not a dangerous encounter. What a shame. Okay, I'll have to try again. I'm just curious if we're able to survive it. I'll need to know that information, not for this upcoming dungeon, but probably for the one after that, to get a rough idea of how powerful we are. Oh, they interrupted my Hurricane House. How dare they? That's it, I'll kill them. See, that's the nice thing though, chat, is if you kill with Mystic Art, you get 1 soul back for using the Mystic Art, and then killing an enemy generally always gives you a soul. So if I'm at 1 soul, and Rokuro's at 3 blast gauge, which is pretty common, I could just immediately Mystic Art. They can't do anything about this. So I just got 3 souls there, because I killed 2 enemies, and I used Mystic Art. And most importantly, I saw that we got increased blast gauge up when using Break Soul. That to me is probably my favorite ability in the game. We'll go ahead and increase focus, as I said before, for Aizen, because that's more important. Keep in mind, he can only do his You're Wide Open if the enemy is stunned, or if they get fatigued. And so if he wants to stay as a spellcaster, his spells need to be able to cause a status ailment, and therefore focus is pretty important on him. So just kind of tying that all together. Things we mentioned before. Let's see. We'll start at... I thought somebody was... Oh. There's only 1 piece of equipment he hasn't leveled yet. Oh, actually, you know what I could do? I'm going to have him wear what Laphicet is using, and Laphicet will temporarily... Oh, Laphicet also didn't complete this one. So that's fine. That actually works. So let's try to get into a dangerous encounter here. There we go. Let's see how we do with this encounter. So these enemies are level 29 now, and they have a lot of health and damage. We have to be a little careful. One thing we have to keep in mind is if we do dangerous encounters, it's going to be a lot harder to cause other status ailments. So we do have to kind of respect the enemy's stats a bit. Just a little bit. At least until we get very overpowered equipment. I almost thought we were gonna get the boss. Oh, speaking of which, I lost about half my health. Gotta be careful there. Yeah, you can see Aizen didn't even stun or cause any status ailments there. So we have to be a little careful. There are a lot of enemies in this encounter, actually. But we're doing okay, I think. And again, because Magilu's in reserve, and now that we have a reserve character, I just want to speak about... Well, Rokuro apparently died, so that's kind of unfortunate. But one thing I wanted to mention is if a character's in reserve, they'll auto-regenerate health. If I spend 1 blast gauge to swap out with them, it gives the other character a soul. So Aizen technically has 1 soul now, but if I sub him in, he'll be at 2. Unfortunately, Rokuro died, which is kind of annoying, but not much I can do about that. So we'll get through it. So I'm still a little on the weaker side. I do have to be kind of careful with this AI. Not really sure why Velvet subbed out there. So one downside is that because Rokuro died, he's not able to tag out because it technically costs a blast gauge in order to do so. So most of the time, if they're dead, they're just going to be a dead slot in your party, even if you have a reserve member. You can negate that with the specific title. Oh, are we getting the bonus boss where Rokuro's dead? That's kind of unfortunate. Oh, that's most unfortunate. He's kind of my anti-boss. Well, let's see how we do. Okay, we're doing okay damage to the boss.
I'll finish this. You're wide open. Burn. No, that's not good.
Well, we're gonna do our best, chat. So I'm attempting to use Velvet's super mode to kind of go through the boss's attacks, which is another advanced tactic. So there, that should have done a lot of damage to us, but because I was berserking, it didn't really affect us that greatly. So I need to be very careful right now. So I think our allies are dying at a very fast pace. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to revive them because they're not being very smart. I might have to tell them to be more defensive. I'm not sure. I just don't want them to kill Velvet. That's the only character I'm super concerned about. So again, he's going to do a super attack, and I'm going to counter that by using Consuming Claw. So you can actually kind of use it like a parry in other games. You can ignore high damage moves. Ooh, what a tough fight, chat. So unfortunately, our allies are kind of dead, so I can't chain combo my abilities. So that's kind of unfortunate. What I can do is try to revive them so that they get some experience. There we go. Got you, chat. So unfortunately, because they died, we didn't end up getting a lot of grade. If we were slightly better geared, chat, we would have gotten not only 97, but because we used no items, we would have probably gotten closer to 140 grade. So just to give you an idea, it is important to level up your gear. And unfortunately, none of those deaths were our misplays. Other than maybe we could have suspected that our gear was too low, so they couldn't have been hit even once. Because if they take that full machine gun blow from the ape, they'll die. So I would say from a standpoint of I'm underleveled, I probably should have told them to just play 100% defensive. Now, I'm very comfortable with fighting kind of unfair battles as Velvet, so I did a lot of things I kind of want to explain over the course of our little walk. But because we got some grade, we did get at least some capabilities versus enemies in the future. So us doing more damage, for example, here will help us with future boss fights. So I'm happy we did that at least. And again, it's important to fight every single bonus boss at least once, because then you get a new item from it. So just kind of keep that in mind. So we received a whole bunch of new items, and because we're cooking, we automatically full heal, or else normally that wouldn't happen. So we'll switch Lapiset down to a waistcoat. I think Velvet has learned everything at this point. Oh, except for the midi blouse. We'll swap them out, that's fun. So I did a few advanced tactics there with Velvet to kind of ignore a lot of the boss moves. So you can abuse the fact that whenever you're using that R2 ability, Consuming Claw, that puts you into the demon state, it actually gives you a lot of invulnerability. As I said before, you can use it as like a parry button. So if some enemy is attempting to do some super powerful attack, more often than not, you can actually Consuming Claw through it and not take damage. And the worst thing that happens is even if you do take damage, or let's say you even get hit by it, you will still not die from doing that. And the reason is because you cannot be killed in that mode by a single hit, just due to the fact that it will reduce you to 1 and then exit the mode naturally. So no matter what, it gives you a safety threshold of taking 1 extra hit. So I was using that to kind of ignore the boss's super attacks. I think one time I did it, I did end up taking the damage. I got reduced from like 2,000 health down to like 600 or something like that. But most of the other times that I did it, I actually completely went through the boss's counter move. And that's why Velvet is really good against bosses. If you're playing on low difficulties, things like the ability to stun and the ability to cause status ailments are much easier. So it just makes her already above average chances of doing so, like, shine even more. But because we're playing on the highest difficulty, I was not really getting, for example, the burn status ailment. I was getting a lot of stuns, but not a lot of the burn status ailments. So when I do this move, it's kind of rare I'll cause a status ailment on them. Like, that took like 5+ moves to do, and that's because they're sort of weak to it. So it's not phenomenal. Again, you could try to balance that out by getting more focus. And so, because I'm also using a lot of Break Claw, or excuse me, because I'm using a lot of Consuming Claw, and I'm abusing the fact that she's got a good stun chance on certain moves, like the Rising move, or the Got You. I'm also building up a lot of Blast Gauge quickly, which helps me kind of do very short burst damage. So that's why that boss was a lot more tolerable, because my normal hits, as you saw before, were doing, I don't know, like less than 100 a hit. But because I'm able to tap the boss and cause a stun, what'll end up happening is that it'll take all the other equipment modifiers for Break Soul, and instead of just doing like a couple of hundred on my super, I was doing several thousand. And as we get further and further into the game, your Mystic Art will start doing more and more damage, as will your Break Soul. So right now we have like basically no buffs to it, and we still did like more than 10 times damage on Break Soul, and definitely way more than that with Mystic Art. And again, we're still pretty early into the game, so just keep in mind we haven't even gone into any kind of crazy modifier territory yet. So as long as you could keep that momentum going, which I feel like with Velvet is fairly easy if you just keep fishing for the stuns into the Break Soul to dodge boss super attacks, as you saw in that previous fight, then you could get through a lot of the game. And keep in mind, if you're playing on normal, that boss will not hit you for that much damage. I don't even think he'll break 1,000 damage, to be honest. Because keep in mind, I'm playing with an extra 1,000 health, so at no point should he one-shot you if you're playing through normally. Especially not on normal. Chris in the chat saying he got scared because he saw something that looked like a Zillia monument. I mean, or not Zillia, Zestiria. I don't know why I keep saying Zillia. But yeah, those Zestiria tutorials. See, that's just one of those things where if you don't make a highlight or a clip out of it, people won't believe you when you say there's over 100 tutorials in that game, not including the help menus. Like, just keep in mind, chat, when I clipped that did not include any of the help menus you could get by just, like, getting more information from those. Just absolute silliness, chat. We got a brand new ability for Magilu. Fire attack power is actually really good on her. If I remember correctly, most of her best moves are fire damage. Like, I will use Spirit Beads. Spirit Drop, unfortunately, is not counted as fire. Twin Spirits is also pretty good. She'll get more fire spells as we go further into the game, like Crown Fire, which we've seen in the previous game. Right now, she's just water-based, but water and fire, I feel like, are really good ones to level up. So if we could get any of those elemental ups on her, we'll definitely try to take advantage of it. Unfortunately, we have not received a new weapon for her. A bit unfortunate. Also, she's using very basic gear. I should probably try to level it since we're here. So we should at least +1 everything so she doesn't explode instantly. Again, getting reduced stun duration is very key to surviving certain difficulties. So every time we switch them over to a ring without a lot of powers, we're in trouble. Oh hey, we got additional Break Soul power and automatic water element on first hit. Not bad. Fortunately, they seem to have a lot of bronze weapons, which is our worst ability. Oh, that one is great. Non-elemental attack power plus 4%, and non-elemental spells are cast quicker. Spoilers for people that have not seen Laffy set, but almost all of his best spells are non-elemental. Like right now we have Geostigma, which is kind of funny because it's like an Earth Wind, and it kind of balances it out. And I'll end up using this Absorb Health move over most other moves in the game just because this has a double element and it's good against Snake, so this one's actually pretty good by itself. But I feel like things that I use a lot, like Dark Quarter, unfortunately not Rainbow Mist, or Paper Rock. I guess maybe some of our later melee moves are non-elemental, but his best spells in the game are non-elemental. We'll see that as we get further into the game. So I'm happy to get that early, for sure. If nothing else, it buffs our Paralysis move, and Bright Shade, which both are very great moves, even early in the game. Chris is saying I'm repressing Zestiria. I mean, kind of. I'm not going to say no to that. The woman says, Lord Shepherd Artorias, he's the man to guide us. Man says, indeed. And with the new temple to the Empyrean Throne, we'll see a new age of peace. See about that. So I do not see any skits. That's one of the nice things in this game. I think they realized how obnoxious Zestiria was with the inn. So if there are no side quest icons on the minimap when you go to the inn, that means there is nothing to gain from sleeping there, and we will ignore it. So thank you for that, Berseria. That's useful. I hope that is a thing that continues to happen in future games. Let's see. Oh, I can't talk to the little boy from here. Maybe Laffy set's too short. Energetic boy says, heh, only fools call other people fools, you dummy. Cautious boy says, fine, fine. That's how reason works, eh? I take it all back. Yeah, pretty logical if you think about it, right? All this talks of foolishness and reasons. Sounds like bits and pieces of Artorias' speech has made it all the way here. Hello, townfolk. What do you have to say? The Van Volvi, she's an unusual ship, but beautiful. Serving aboard such a magnificent vessel would be a dream come true for any sailor. Luckily warns, some dreams turn out to be nightmares. She just said mind at the end of that statement. What? Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, where some of the translations are a bit weird. Like, if you talk to some of the NPCs, I feel like some of this was rushed, which is kind of unfortunate, because I think otherwise it's pretty good. Like, this sentence doesn't really make any sense. Like, maybe she was trying to say mind you. Like, it's clearly missing a word again. So that's why people complain about the translations, by the way. Like, as I said before, the actual story dialogue is fine. I don't remember them or any of the English actors saying anything that sounded really weird, I guess. Maybe some complaints are there about how natural the dialogue feels. I personally don't have an issue with the main dialogue. It's more maybe if you talk to these characters, like the NPC townfolk, it sounds a little weird. Young woman says, did you hear about the Royal Medical Society being attacked by demons? An older woman says, how could they attack doctors on a mission of mercy? Demons really are heartless monsters. Well, we know they're not quite there for a mission of mercy. They're peddling the nectar. Hello, soldier, what do you have to say to us? The Abbey's new temple is being built to the north along Danan Highway. You can't visit it yet, but they'll open it to the public on the dawn of the day it's complete. You know what, chat? I think our stream goal is we're going to try to reach that temple. We're going to see whatever plays out there, and I think that'll be a good point to stop, because there's a pretty significant event that happens as we get there. So I don't want to overwhelm us with plot too much, so I thought I'd pad it out a little bit with combat. Show off a harder boss. Also show off the cats again. Reminder that cats are here. Support cat, chat. Man says, thankfully an exorcist happened along and directed the efforts to put out the fire. If it weren't for her, who we know as Eleanor, or as we call her, the crybaby exorcist, a lot more than a storehouse would have burned. Ah, see, we see more See, I think that's such a cool detail where you can actually see the soldiers with scarves before you get an explanation for them, and now you know you can kind of talk to them, and they have different things to say. They're saying burning a church warehouse is not a crime that will be easily forgiven, but it would likely go unsolved. Now, the downside is it makes, I guess, a little less sense in universe, because then it's like, why are these people wearing scarves? But from an actual player standpoint, I think it's a cool detail. Chris in the chat says a mission of no mercy. Very true. Or Merchant says, have you heard the news? Ifrit's pirates broke through Vortigern. Damnation, if only I'd known that earlier, I could have made a small fortune. Little does he know, chat. Little does he know. So, chat, I will say, unfortunately, we are coming across one of the characters from the previous game. I know I will try not to talk too much about Cisteria, but unfortunately, this character was very heavily ingrained in Cisteria, and I did not like this character. But we'll talk to this, Traitor? Not sure what his title is. Let's talk to him.
Did the Sylph J reach your men?
Yeah, they're scouting the checkpoints.
Oh, he's another pirate.
No, but they won't be long.
Let's rest for a bit. I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too.
We'll rest until the scouts are back then.
That's kind of cool. You know, time has advanced. We get to see the sunset. Let's talk to these people again. So the hardened pirate says, the scouts we sent were our very best. They know what they're doing. Security must be really tight if it's giving them a hard time. The scouts are taking a while to come back. We'll take note of that. We can see Rokuro talking with Dial up there. I also like that the model for Rokuro is using the costume we were using.
No way. You managed to get some?
Shh, idiot. Not so loud. Behold, the finest drink there is, Ileana Red. If Benwick and the others find out we have it, they'll drink the whole thing.
Wait, you didn't tell them about it?
Of course not. Those guys couldn't care less what they stuff down their gullets, as long as it gets the job done. The subtle notes of this exquisite libation would be lost on those louts.
Well said. Now, I believe some Rucarella cheese would complement this Ileana nicely. We'll have to hide the bottle until we can get our hands on some.
Leave that to me.
Wow, talk about oblivious.
I think we can actually talk to them from here, yeah. Booker says, I just sharpened my blade. Mind if I test it on your tail? Dial says, of course I do. You're a monster to frighten monsters with, I tell you. Dial, you're never growing that tail back. Don't you lie to us. Filthy liar, chat. What a filthy liar. Bloodwing agent says, the harbor town smells of the sea, tra-la-la. Oh, what a place to be, tra-la-la. No new Code Red Demon hunts still. What do you have to say, fellow young man? It says, today's ended peacefully enough at least. After I heard the storehouse burned down, I was afraid this place would end up like Eloise. Well, young man, we're still here. We're not quite done with the port. He says, I'm glad it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but there's still no explanation, is there? Young man says, none. After hearing about what happened in Helvies, I felt lucky to be alive. Very upset, chat. Dial is just, he's just never shown with the tail. This is not fair. How dare they tease it?
There we go. Fully stocked and ready to sail.
Great. We set sail the moment the scouts get back. Stay here and be ready to go at a moment's notice.
Aye, aye.
There's no telling what'll happen at the Empyrean's throne. Be ready for the worst.
Is there something worse than being around you, First Mate?
Damn.
Just be ready.
Aye, aye, aye. If anything goes wrong, send a Sylph J, and we'll come running.
Be ready for the worst, huh?
Oh, I was gonna zoom in on Benwick, because now we know that the bird in his hair is officially the Sylph J that we use for messages. But he just kind of teleported out of existence, so sorry, Benwick. Gonna draw more attention to that, but he's gone now. And it makes sense that they keep talking about his hair being a nest, because his hat is kind of open at the top, so it does kind of look like a nest when you look at it from the top. Soldier says, just thinking about Lord Artorius' speech. brings a tear to my eye. So we're gonna wait at the port until the scouts get back. Hi, Eisen. What do you have to say? The scouts take much longer. We'll need to try another tack. Something could have happened to them. Another tack? Like, that's just another one of those ones where, like, something about that is... another tack. Oh no, Chad. Do you consider that a mistranslation or just, like, a very strange, specific point of speech? Like, you say another tactic. Not just tack by itself. The mother says, whenever I try to fry up squid, it explodes on me? Oh, that sounds terrifying, actually. Wait. She says, I'm just no good at it. The son says, this is a serious problem. I love fried squid. What do you have to say, merchant? Confound it all. The cargo that should have come from Helavis is all ruined, and now I am too. See that, chat? We impacted more than Helavis when we destroyed that port. See that? Consequences, chat. Helavis is destroyed and Vernigan was cracked. This will cause quite an upset in trade routes and spheres of influence of the seas. I bet Ifrit's pirates are the ones responsible. They're a bunch of mad dogs, and now they've drawn the ire of both the Empire and the Abbey. And that's just for starters. Van Ifrit and his crew have made enemies of the entire world. Oh no, chat. Oh no. Oh no. I forgot this character was here. I remember this character in a later cutscene. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Well, my belly is full, so I guess it's time to get started. Oh no, I forgot you could talk to him. Oh no. Bartender says, what do you think of my new cocktail? I call it a Zenethra. Customer says, I like it. It's got an unusual taste, like it's been dredged up from the bottom of the sea. Bartender says, I knew you'd understand. Would you like to try another concoction of mine? I call this one a Perun. Oh, chat. For those of you who have not seen the Zestiria playthrough, I don't think you can quite understand how much I don't like this character. But for those of you that have seen the Zestiria playthrough and haven't yet played through Berseria, you get to see that character with a completely different personality, and it causes a very big whiplash when you play through this game. And I'm like, hey, I like neither of his personalities, so 10 out of 10, consistently unenjoyable.
I gave the boy an apple too. Aren't I the kindest girl alive?
An apple.
Would you like one? This time I want you to crow like a
No, thank you.
Miss, are you really planning to fight Artorias?
Well, the boy did ask me so sweetly.
But you'd have no chance.
Are you defying me? Did the old man give you orders?
Not at all.
Then you're coming with me. If things get too hot, we can run. And if we die, then...
That's that. I know.
You're a quick one, little Bienfu. But I do hope you'll struggle as long as possible. I need you around for when I'm bored, after all.
Oh, Magilu. Magilu says, if you're looking for the boy, he's walking in the direction of the pier ahead. Sure. Hello, Bienfu. He bought an apple with my allowance. Velvet asks if he gets an allowance. Bienfu says, Magilu is a lot more thoughtful than she lets on, although she did take my apple away after I bought it. Poor Bienfu. Hello, port merchant. He says, ah, nothing beats seeing the sun set over the ocean even after all these years. Aye, whoever decided to call this world desolation must never imagine such sights. Although it's true that terrible monsters roam under this painted sky. Velvet thinks to herself, terrible monsters. He's got that right. Oh, very minor thing, chat, but the quotes are not in the correct direction. Let's get that expedition up.
Oh.
So again, we're just gonna rapidly go through that menu. It's not super important to know what's going on. We're just getting resources, it's fine. Young sailor says, I hear the fellow that was guarding this storehouse is gonna be harshly punished. Merchant replies, what do you expect? He let himself be fooled. And the whole place was destroyed. If the stuff in there hadn't belonged to the church, he'd be facing compensation charges too. So it sounds like they're still not quite letting on the true value of what was in there. I love how I just saw the crown load in slightly before Laffy said.
Is it good?
It's tart, and yet sweet.
No thanks. I wouldn't be able to taste it anyway.
Oh.
You sure like the sea?
I'm afraid of the sea. The waves, sharks, all the strange fish. But at the same time, it's huge and full of wonder. When I let myself think about what might be over the horizon, it's exciting.
My brother, he loved the sea too.
Your brother? Really?
He'd sit on the cape, just staring at it. I told him he'd catch cold in that ocean wind, but he never listened to a word I said. Your way of looking at the world is so much like his. I wish I bought him that compass. I wish we could have traveled together like he wanted.
Hey! The scouts are back, everyone!
Laffy, you know you don't have to do this if you don't want to.
I'm going with you, Velvet.
I see.
Got a little bit of Velvet's, one of many Velvet's themes actually in there. It's kind of a nice touch. Let's continue through the port. I don't think any new conversations are going to reset here, so I think we could just go straight to plot at this point. Now, if you recall, we haven't been able to get past this waypoint so far. Like, there's always guards in front of there. However, when we look now, we can see the guards are actually currently downed. Let's get a little closer.
You say he was using a pendulum?
Aye, sir. And he blasted all the inspectors. I think he'd be a match for even the captain.
Thank you. I'll look into this for myself.
Hold it. What's going on?
The Exorcist inspection team was attacked by a pendulum-wielding Moloch.
The same type of weapon was found at the place the captain vanished from.
And so you think the attacker is the one who took the captain?
I don't know, but this can't be coincidence.
Ifrit is in the custody of exorcists. Why would they attack their own?
What will you do? One of your keys is running off.
I'm going after him. If they're already in disarray, causing more confusion will only benefit us.
Pandemonium! My favorite! Eisen sure picked an inconvenient time to run off, though, didn't he?
I can't blame him. He's got his own purpose.
Those guards are down. We could go through there. Okay, I want to talk about Benwick again. So, yeah, I kind of like that if you look at, like, the back of the hat. It does kind of look like a nest as he opened up the top of the hat. Kind of a nice detail. I also like that the bird expresses itself during his cutscenes as well. I think that's also a good touch. Let's see, Pirate Scout, what do you have to say? We can barely get near the place, and that guy just charges right through. Watch your back. That Moloch is a real piece of work. Oh, he's a real piece of something, chat. Let's see. Benwick says, it was over in a flash. And Moloch just sauntered up, knocked down the guard, and went through the gates. Let's go back to the tavern real quick before we continue. I think chat all agrees he's a piece of something. That mysterious stranger with question mark is no longer there. I wonder who it was that went through the gates. Certain pendulum user, which we've seen before in Zestiria. Only wind Molochs really use the pendulum, to my understanding, because they're able to manipulate it, and it basically acts as kind of like a whip. Kind of like a whip with weights. I guess it's the easiest way to describe it. Hey, look, chat. It's a Turtles. White Turtle says, welcome to the White Turtles General Store. Wait, you're... Oh, wait. Oh, we meet again. We need to resupply, just like last time. Poor Velvet, already teasing White Turtles. Like last time, at prices like that, I'm sunk. Unfortunately, he has no new equipment, because... Unfortunately, he shares a store with all the others. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into a couple of fights just to reset the equipment, and then we'll see what he has for sale. Also note that Eisen is not in the party, so we no longer have a reserve party member. So we can't just easily swap people out when they get low on health, or abuse Blast Gauge on characters like Laffy said, just to give people more souls. Speaking of which, I should probably fix our party order, since it seemed to have started me as Velvet again for some reason. Oh, I actually used the spell mid-combo. That felt good, chat. Look at that, chat. I used an actual damaging spell mid-combo. I did it.
Come on, really?
Mission accomplished.
Me? Are you sure?
It's an honor to serve as the Vanguard.
You know what? We don't see Rokuro too often as the Vanguard, as he put it. So we'll put him there. Ooh, they are all over me. There we go. I had to evade out of the way. I'm gonna get that soul back.
Victory is ours.
Okay, one more battle and that should reset the merchant. So we'll just take a little look up here. And also get a chest. I believe we'll be getting into a boss fight almost immediately, so I just want to see if we could get anything else worth leveling in the meantime.
Are we ready for this?
See this?
Roko really wanted us to see this, chat. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch these to Geostigma, so that way I could use this mid-combo. Geostigma actually launches the enemy kind of high in the air, so sometimes I like to end combos with that, because that sometimes lets me get a solo reset, as Laffy said. Not all the time, though. Yeah, see that? I was able to strike him while Geostigma was going off. So you could get extended combos that way. It just depends on how far away you are when you cast it. Poor enemies.
You won't get any pity or compassion.
Okay, I think that's good enough to reset the merchant. Let's go take a look at the wares that the White Turtles has. And again, the White Turtles will kind of show up as like a way to make sure you always have a merchant, even if other places are cut off. So I kind of like that. I like that aspect of the game. It always makes sure you're able to buy healing potions, or, well, not healing potions, but apple gels and also life potions as you need to, just in case you find the game too hard. I feel like the game is pretty good at making sure you always have access to a merchant. So we're gonna go ahead and buy one of everything. I can see we're getting new earrings, which is good, because we want more skills on Magilu. And I think that's about it in terms of equipment. As I said before, we're just gonna keep spending money to upgrade our characters, because that'll slowly unlock new... Ooh, actually I want to dismantle what Laffy Set's wearing. Because that will slowly unlock the ability to get new kinds of upgrades, and we also get some items if we go far enough. So for example, we already got one of Velvet's better belts, and I think we got Pumper Upper very early on Eisen due to our shop rank as an example. I'm not sure if there's an easy way to tell which things you get for different shop ranks, but we're still at level 10, so we're not too far into it. I think that's good enough for now. I'm just thinking about if I want a quick save. I think we should be okay.
Hey! Wow, you're good, whoever you are.
I'm Eisen, the Reaper, and Eifried's first mate.
A buddy of Eifried's? Oh, this'll be too good.
So you are the one who took Captain Eifried from us.
Oh yeah, that's the spirit, pal.
Eisen, calm yourself. He's a Moloch and he's against the Abbey. If we work together, we can pass the barrier.
Don't give me your peacemaking crap.
I'm settling this my way. Right here, right now.
Stay out of this!
I see. Well, two can play at that game. I'll handle this in my way. I'll beat you both until you're helpless. Then open that barrier.
So, surprise boss fight, you have to fight Eisen and Mysterious Moloch. So we could get Smoldering Glacite from him and Armory Acerate 1. That's an interesting drop. Maybe we'll get better shop goods with this. Hey, he's got moves we don't even have unlocked yet. I wish he had Winter Winds and Stone Lance, you tease. What a tease, chat. Oh, and he also has 11th Hour? That's like one of my favorite moves. What a cheater, chat. I wish he had that unlocked normally. I think most of these are named after the moves of his moveset in Zestiria. Honestly, I don't remember his move names that well.
Why does it have to be like this?
Oh, be quiet and help Velvet. Otherwise, she'll bite our heads off.
True. Forgive us, Eisen.
No mercy!
Wounds that won't heal.
Killing flash! But I'm this close, I won't miss! Form zero! Thunder!
Oh, Magilu didn't have enough meter. That's a shame. Ooh, I wasn't able to stun him. Oh, never mind. I spoke too soon, chat. Yeah, look at that solo damage just from one blast. Like, that is honestly completely insane. Oh, I got the counter on him. That's not fair. He's dead. Oh, he actually dodged that. Hurricane, chat. He's actually dodging pretty well for the boss. The problem is that Rokuro doesn't care about dodging. There we go. I dodged that mid-strike just to get an extra soul. I'm just gonna make everybody use their blast gauge. There we go. There we go, chat. Hurricane.
You're a treat, you know that? So, what's your plan after you punch through this barrier?
Kill the shepherd.
Damn, that's a new one.
She's dead serious.
All right. You won the fight. What do you want me to do?
Are you ready, my merry little Malakim? Now, line up before the barrier.
Oh!
Rest is up to you. I just want to see the panic on the Exorcist's faces.
Hold it. I still have questions for you.
That's enough for now, Eisen. If you persist, one of us will end up dead.
Yes, please.
Who are you? Tell me.
Zavid the Whirlwind. A fighter, nothing more.
The barrier's gone. I won't stop you from going after him.
No, I walk with you. Besides, Melchior is still my surest link to Eifried's whereabouts.
Could have saved a lot of trouble if you'd listened to me from the start.
If I had good judgment, I wouldn't be where I am in the first place.
You really are a fool.
Oh no, Velvet, we know that if... we know you're a fool if you call people fools. I want to talk about one more thing, I think, once I look at some of the details. So, we didn't die. We got the item-free victory, so that's good. Velvet almost died. She got pretty low in health when I briefly swapped out of her, but I made everybody use their break soul, including Lapiset, to half damage. So I had a feeling she'd be okay if I did that, and then we just finished off the combat with her, which wasn't too bad. But I just want to point out that Magilu mentioned earlier some old man when she was talking to Bienfu. So it's kind of hinting that she either has like a mentor, perhaps a family member that she's referencing that's strong enough to control a greater Moloch. So we could start having some theories in the chat as to who that is, who she was referencing. Because that would explain why she seems to have a lot of knowledge with some of the Abbey's activities, potentially. Let's see, we've gotten some nice upgrades from our equipment. So we'll take a look at what specific valuables we got there. I saw there was a skit there, but I want to pause on that just for a second, just to verify something. Oops, I think I could see it better in here. So we got the Smoldering Glacite, which increases burn effectiveness, which is good. Both Rokuro and Velvet have easy access to burn, so that could end up being our first status ailment. We got this from the Chaos Orb, so we get 4% damage reduction, which is pretty strong. And I'm just going to look for one other one, which is the Armor Asite. It says, grants a +1 maximum blast gauge to characters wearing equipment that has been enhanced a total of 5 or more times. So now we're starting to get into the game where our characters could potentially get really, really powerful, but the game is going to gate it off, basically based on the plot. So right now, if we have a total of +5, our max gauge is going to go up by 1. And we can tell that this has happened because if we look at the bottom left-hand corner, we can see the different characteristics. And next to hit point totals, there's BG. So everybody has 1 out of 4. So now I can store an additional blast gauge. Now this will be very useful to us because, again, it'll keep going up as the game progresses because it tries to gate how powerful you could get as you level up. But we'll potentially get up to 9 blast gauge, which leads to some pretty devastating combos. And hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of that. Now we've also gotten a defensive item that greatly increases our magic attack power at this point in the game. So we're obviously going to give this to Little Boy. Command shoes are done. I don't think there's anything else she can really level up other than Floric boots, which gives us additional blast gauge, which again is a pretty solid ability, as we'll be taking advantage of the Mystic Arts for bosses. So things that give us the Mystic Arts faster are probably good for us. Now, we want to be careful we don't put ourselves in a situation where we don't get that +5, preferably, but we'll see how far we could go with it. Oh, we received new earrings as well at some point. That's good. Now, if we refight the other common enemies, like if we were to have walked around prior to Port Zexen with Magilu to get into encounters, even though they weren't dropping Magilu items then, we'll start receiving them now, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's go take a look at this skit that's waiting for us.
Eisen, I'm sorry about earlier.
The fight, you mean? Don't worry about it. I'll hate you until I'm in the grave, though. A jest.
I didn't know what I should do.
It's fine to take your time to decide. But as with everything, the choice is ultimately your own. And if your choice leads to killing me, I won't complain.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it might end up with me killing you.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ugh, I talk too much. That Zavid bastard's got me all riled up.
Don't worry, I'm mad at Zavid too. Don't worry about that, Aizen. I forgive you. I would forgive you less if you weren't mad at Zavid. So we have the down guards.
Just unconscious.
A fighter, not a killer, huh?
So that's unfortunately going to be a plot point in this game, is that Zavid is not a killer. So let's wander around here. I'm going to make sure we get the herbs that are around here before we continue. I'll collect some of these souls, not all of them though. So our destination is to the far left. I don't want to quite go there yet. I want to make sure we pick up some items first. So we were here earlier. Just want to make sure. Yeah, let's get the chest. Time for that chest. Awesome. Actually, oops, sorry. One moment. South Danan Highway. Interesting. I'm gonna see what happens if we try going to the south. I think I said the west earlier. I meant the northeast, because the northeast is where the temple is. But I want to make sure we get the herb. I am like 95% certain there was an herb up here. I want to make sure not to miss it if it's here. Yeah, here it is. Increases our maximum HP by 10. Little boy. It's fine. Little boy will get all the buffs. I'm just curious what happens if we try heading to the south, if the game tries to stop us or anything. So let's head there. Yeah, we could see the gate that we opened up earlier. Unfortunately, because we carried over some of the movement boosters from the previous playthrough, we're able to escape a lot of encounters. Oh, we're able to come back here. Oh, okay. So I guess this answers how we reached that treasure chest from earlier. I did say we would come back for this eventually. I just forgot this is specifically how we got to it. So we'll get a life bottle from that. Nothing too crazy. I'd really prefer not to dangerous encounter. So again, we're going to try to not power level or do anything too crazy. We're just going to do a couple fights here and there just for grade and try to keep it to a bare minimum. I want this to be focused more on plot and also combat challenge. So if I level too much, I think it takes out some of the difficulty of it. Because we could see before when I got in that dangerous encounter, I did get close-ish to game overing. I got down to 2 characters left. So we did actually have character death. I feel that makes it more exciting. So let's go to the northeast.
The guards are all Malakim. They really do keep humans away from here.
But why build a new temple out here? The shepherd could build in the capital just as easily.
This place.
You feel it too?
There's powerful energy flowing underground.
Right. This is a focal point of the Earth Pulse, the natural energy of the land.
The perfect spot to worship Inominat.
Or to attack him.
Ooh, I love this location, chat. I love this location. I'm glad that this shows up again from Zestiria.
I thought I ordered no one to enter.
Forgive me. I would not have intruded, but there was an incident at the villa in Logres.
Eleanor, where are your Malakim?
They were eaten by the left arm of a demon.
Velvet.
What? You know of her?
She was a student of mine. So she has bested Oscar, Teresa, and now you.
Lord Artorias, I ask that you grant me fresh Malakim.
I vow to destroy that demon.
You are overcome with emotion. Will you fight a demon with your hatred?
Please, I beg you to forgive my foolishness.
She broke the resolve of even an exemplary disciple like you.
My lord, if I may, there is but one thing I must ask. Why is there a giant demon held captive at the villa?
Entry to that place is forbidden to all but legates, Eleanor.
He was restrained by a Moloch barrier. How could such a monstrous thing like that be held in the capital?
Eleanor, why is it you think that birds fly?
Huh? It's so they can hunt and catch prey, is it not?
You are dismissed. That knowledge is not for you. So Velvet is coming. The ties that bind us must at last be severed.
The Empyrean Throne, a new temple. Hey Kirk, how's it going?
My fighter doesn't seem to be hiding anywhere nearby.
I sensed him rush away with great speed.
Zavid the Whirlwind, huh?
He was tough. He seemed to know Ifrid too. What's the story there?
I don't know. Ask him.
He used a pendulum as a weapon.
When we first met Eisen, he said something about a pendulum, didn't he?
It was the only clue he had in his search for Ifrid. I'm surprised at how far he's come on something so vague.
Does Zavid have something to do with Ifrid's disappearance?
I don't think this Zavid is a killer. I didn't feel it in him at all.
I have a feeling we might cross paths again. He is tangled with the Abbey somehow.
He didn't seem that bad to me.
It's terrible, Laffy said.
Seems like a guy who would be hard to hate.
Don't lie to me, Rokuro.
If he gets in our way, he's in for a beating.
Now that's what a killer looks like.
He's in for a beating, chat. Don't you try to soften us up to him, Berseria, that monster. Anyway, chat. So, I thought in Zestiria, this location was the coolest dungeon. Oh, we're just drinking booze with our idle animation. But I think this area was the coolest dungeon in Zestiria, and I love that it makes a return to Berseria. It also has probably my second most favorite theme in the game. It's one of my favorite dungeon themes anyway. I just love how imposing it is. So we've seen it all destroyed in the future and kind of like floating in the air. We're gonna see what it used to look like in the past, which I think again is really good of them to have done so. Let's go ahead and touch this very obvious switch.
What was that?
Some sort of contrivance using Moloch arts. Probably part of their security system, I'd say.
Obviously.
We should keep our eyes open for any more surprises.
Our goal is to probably fight each enemy once to show it off. So we'll fight this one. Oh, the enemy blocked Geostigma. That's a shame. Being a little stubborn. Oh, wait a minute. I got a new art. Did I set that to anything? I did not set that to anything. Hold on, Chad. We need to fix this. Let's see. I think it's set a Searing Edge, which I do like. Wind Whip. I don't really need this here. Can I get a Shell Splitter? This move is really good for racking up combos. I do like this move quite a lot. feel like I don't need another stun move. I don't really need harsh rebuttal, honestly. Maybe I'll put like I don't think I have too much here. I'll at least put Shell Splitter there. So that's Shell Splitter. It's a 1, 2, 3, and then a follow-up strike that causes poison. I like doing it when I'm at the end of a combo, just because it'll start racking up the hits quite high. And I think I mentioned before, but if I haven't mentioned it before, you basically do damage based off of the number of hits you have in a combo. So every single hit is 1% more damage that you're dealing, and it can go up very, very high over time. As you can see, when we start having 100 hit combos, that means we're doing 100% bonus damage.
Stop fooling around.
But I'm serious about my fooling around.
Oh, he just learned 11th hour. Oh, chat, that move is so good. So here's why this move is good. It strikes the ground, it's earth, so now we have a close range earth move that's worth using, because I don't think I use tempo at all. No, I don't use tempo at all. And more importantly, it causes stun and knockdown, so it is 2 chances to lead into your wide open, and that's why this move has so many uses. It's very good on this character. So I think what I'm going to do is to mix these up a little bit. I think I'm going to try to do... Let's see. Just to mix up the moves a little more. It's also cheaper than Coercion, which is very interesting to me. But yeah, I really, really like this move. I think normally what I do is I do Coercion to pull them in, and then I just do the stomps. So let's tag him in briefly.
If I'm in...
Just so we could show off that move, because that move is so fun, chat. You know what? I'll even make sure temporarily to make him the #1 player for a second, so we could show it off. Now, we've already fought the little Minotaur things. Let's show it off on the snake. Oh, I got interrupted. That sucked. Yeah, he just shouts, "Eat it," and then it does that. It's phenomenal. As you can see, I knocked down everybody, so if I just have enough souls, I could just do this. Like, what an absolutely nasty move for this character to get. Unfortunately, I'm being attacked by lots of things with very quick ranged attacks, which are not good, not a good matchup for Aizen. I prefer big, slow targets. There we go. I mean, just look at the fit. That's how you approach combat, chat. You just shout, "Eat it," and just punch the ground repeatedly until they die. That's how you win, chat. That move is so fun.
Victory is ours.
Oh, we got an upgrade for him. Not too bad. I'll keep Moggy Lou in the party for now, though.
Oh, miss me that.
But yeah, I just love him shouting "Eat it" and just comboing that forever. It's quite amusing. Let's get our focus +8 here. So we can see there's a ladder there. We're gonna have to lower that later if we want a shortcut. So our goal is to basically ignore all combat from here on out as best as we can. And we're gonna see if we can find any additional herbs or hidden items here. We picked up 1 herb, which is good. I set the game to kind of spawn in the objects kind of slowly. I could fix that, chat. I want you to know it is not just like, oh, it's like that forever. I do that because I'm actually looking for items, just for clarity. Because if I tell certain things to spawn in later, like the grass, I can actually see things like the shinies and the herbs sooner. So if you're wondering, chat, that was an on-purpose thing. So I just wanted to be able to see certain items at a distance. Ah, silver chest. Excellent. Obtained another flame ward. Again, we're going to try our best to avoid all combat. We've experienced enough enemies here. Ooh, that snake is very quick, but fortunately we have a movement boost, so we get to ignore that fight. Now our goal is to go over to this weird temple-like structure. And eventually what we'll need to do is we need to lower the ladder that's over there. So that'll help us on the way back. Let's go ahead and do that now. I'm just doing that to dodge combat. Dodging that is faster than actually doing the combat. So the downside is I think while I'm climbing, the enemies won't move, but they have broken line of sight, so I should be able to get by them now. Hopefully I do not end up in combat with them, or I'll be very sad. Oh, they're right there. Oh, it was so close, chat. Oh. That was kind of a really nasty series of strikes. I tried, chat. I tried to dodge it. I should have waited maybe 1 second longer to let them move further. That was my mistake. Too slow, chat. That enemy is crazy dead, though. Can we talk about that? Like, that was a nasty combo. Poor enemy. Die. Ooh. Goodbye. And again, we're gonna try to just burn as much break soul as possible, so that we can end up with more blast gauge. Somehow Laphicet got the last hit. Good job, Laphicet. I'm not really sure how you stole that from me, but good job. You did it, AI. I mean, I thought I was comboing them pretty well, but Laphicet snuck it in. I think he might have bright shaded or something. She's definitely very Milia Rage. I would not be surprised if that outfit is supposed to be in honor of that character, Kirk, to be honest. I would not be surprised. Oh, look at that, chat. A sneaky cat chest requiring 8 cat souls. And he gave us nothing. Only disappointment. Let's go ahead and open up this... Or not open up, but get rid of this switch, I suppose. That's one gate out of the way. So we have one more switch to go before we are allowed to reach Lord Artorias. I think we're actually coming up to one of my favorite parts of the game. I'm trying to recall. I think we are. But I love the interactions with her, Artorias, and Inominat, as we'll see as it gets further along. Like those are some of my favorite scenes in the game, only topped by one specific scene later on in the game, which is phenomenal to me. So for people that have been paying attention to the very beginning of the game, ooh, you will be rewarded. I promise you, it is quite something. So we have one more switch left to go, 2 more chests to find. We're gonna try to speed this up as much as possible. I would say this is another one of the downsides of Berseria, is that the maps are very big, which is kind of neat, but at the same time, I definitely wish I could go faster on some of these maps. So we have a ladder here. I might as well as take it. So that way, if we end up near the back, we could just climb down and explore the rest of the area there. So we're just gonna collect some more cat souls as we climb this ladder. There is a chest over here we're gonna go to. Hopefully we get an interesting item from it, we'll see. As I said before, we're doing very minimal combat, so we're dependent on whatever the game decides to grant us in terms of Mercy. Another Flame Ward, probably don't really want that at this point. We've received at least 2 from chests at this point. That's a bit of a shame. Just to explain, chat, the items are semi-randomized from chests, so the silver chest will always grant better items in general. I think the first time you open them, it is set, I think? Actually, I take that back. I think the first time you open them, it's not set. I take that back. And definitely as we go along in the bonus dungeon in particular, it'll take from a very large pool of items. So if we're looking to kind of round out our equipment, we have to basically wait until the bonus dungeon to get more chest rares, as I like to call them. There are items that I feel like you can only get from the chests and not from monsters or anywhere else. And it is a bit RNG whether or not you get them, which is a bit disappointing. That is the final switch, chat. We are gonna go up and greet Artorias. So clearly the end of the game is about to happen in a couple minutes, chat. It was a fun run. I'm sure everything will go well. This won't be a terrible, horrible mistake with no consequences.
How is it now, Eisen?
I feel like whatever you did caused some sort of change.
Let's just pray they can't change it back anytime soon.
I'll pass on the praying. I've come here to make a mess of this temple, remember?
Ooh, you've got spunk. I like that. As long as you know what you're doing, then.
Okay, chat, let's explore around the edges one more time, just to make sure we're not missing out on herbs and things like that. I would really prefer not to have missed an herb, because I'm trying to set up something for later. I hope I've snatched all of them. If not, I'm going to be very sad when it doesn't work later, because that means I probably missed one. Again, let's ignore as much combat as possible, and now we can lower this ladder, and we can jump down here, and we can go ahead and get more cat souls. But we have so many cat souls, we're good. But we'll take it anyway, because I'm always scared I don't have enough. And speaking of herbs, make sure we grab this one. This one could have been a little tricky to see. As I said before, that's why I like having the grass load in slower than items, so that way I could see those kinds of things a bit easier. Nothing of interest over here. So we have no new chests to collect. And there's nothing between us and Artorias, so I'm just going to go ahead and increase our health here. Or Magilu is the only character sub 1000, but I'm sorry, we're making Tank of Set. We're going to make him the toughest, most high damaging character in the game. It's fine. The payoff won't be for quite a while, but oh boy, when we get to play with that towards the end of the game. Gonna feel so good, chat. So all we could do now is just continue running towards these stairs as we ascend towards the throne. So there should be an herb over here. That much I remember, chat. I used to go here for herbs before I learned there's a better location later in the game. Let's go ahead and have that lavender as well. It raises martial damage, which is normally very good on Velvet or Rokuro, but no, it's going to tank the set, chat. So we have one chest we could collect. I think it was over here. But I like the scale of this temple. What about you, chat? Do you just like ascending the stairs? Reaching Artorias on a higher plane than us? Oh, look at that, a very rare chest. Shell Shredder. Unfortunately, I think we have that item. We're just gonna make a quick save here. We're gonna continue up here.
Velvet, what is Artorias' method of fighting?
He wields a long sword in his left hand, and he once had a Moloch named Ceres who used fire. But I killed her.
And since then, he's tethered a new Moloch called Innominat to use in her place?
As far as I know, yes. But I can't imagine a new Moloch will work with him as well as Ceres did.
Must be pleasant to always assume the best.
If I'm wrong, that's where all of you come in. The four of you will strain his tether to the Moloch. Then I'll chew through it, at which point Artorias becomes nothing more than a simple human.
But how will you get close to him in the first place?
I'll use Laphicet's arts. He will cut me, he will burn me, and I will keep charging forward. Your job is to keep healing me so that I can stay on my feet.
A sacrificial assault, then. Oh, it's not a bad plan. There's a good chance you'll catch him off guard.
If you don't immediately die.
But Velvet, you'll...
That's an order.
All right.
So in the end, you're still just a tool to her. Bet that hurts.
Wow, we actually gave him an order.
Miss Moggy-Lou, does that demon Velvet really mean to kill Shepherd Artorias? What is she thinking?
I can't say. Perhaps she's not thinking at all.
No, she said something about him killing someone.
She said it during his speech, right?
I heard her too. She has some feud with Artorias.
Her hate for him flows deep. I wonder what her connection to Lord Artorias is.
Don't call him Lord. Trust me.
What?
You'll understand when the time comes. If she's still alive to face Artorias, that is.
Precisely. The fires of her hatred are all-consuming. Who will they burn in the end?
It's a dangerous path we walk, but a debt is a debt. Come along, Laphicet.
Okay.
There we go, chat. You heard the plan. We're just gonna charge in, and no matter how many hits we take, we're gonna rely on Laphicet to heal us through all this. No matter what happens, chat. Oh, okay, there was a save point right before this fight. Good. It had been a while since we saved. Let's go ahead and save with a hard save. Well, chat, here we go. We're entering the Empyrean Throne, or I think it was called the Artorias Throne in a couple of games. Again, I really like the design of this room. I'm so glad we get to see it again in Berseria. I just like the geometric designs. I like the kind of like star-esque pattern on the door, and I just like the whole aesthetic of this place. I really like a whole lot. And I like him just sitting in front of the throne like that as we arrive. That's so cool.
Artorias!
Demons and Malachim. Unlikely companions, to say the least.
Ceres is here too. In my stomach.
So you chose to be a mother bird, Ceres.
Things will be different this time. I will have my revenge. Revenge for Laphicet!
Very well. It is time.
So, the first thing you should do, if you were to play through this game, is realize that Artorias is level 90 to our level 14 or so. His stats are not actually too crazy, surprisingly. But, you'll see what happens if we go to hit him.
So this is the shepherd's style.
Boy, howdy, are we dead?
But he has no molecule.
Remember the plan!
Right.
Dark and light!
Deception! Come! Hurricane! Hurricane!
Twin whip!
Hurricane! Hurricane!
Uh-oh, chat. I think we're in trouble.
Hurricane! Hurricane!
Oh, I think I actually hurt him there. Hey, it is actually possible to hit him, chat. Hurricane thrust does damage, chat.
I'll finish this!
Healing circle!
Wind light! Wind light! Pummel! Wind light! Pummel! Explosion!
Break him!
Eat it! Eat it!
Dark and light!
He does not want to eat it, chat. He had enough.
No escape!
Fierce finger!
Eat it!
Twin whip! Got you! Light! Break!
Velvet! Please. This isn't over. Once more, Laphicet! The fourth Maxim.
Never let your guard down, even when victorious. I will not let you win so easily. I will use my full strength, as is just and proper.
Aid me in Nominat! His wounds have vanished!
Such power. Is it really?
That is cheating! Why do I
remember you. That night. That terrible night. More healing.
It's impossible! We have to run!
You won't escape this time.
I beg your pardon, Lord Artorias. I had assumed Master Shigure was attending you. The failure is mine.
Oh, Shigure is out training. Besides, that man would like to see my blood spilled more than anyone.
Same as ever.
He thinks only of himself. Look what happened with Ifrid.
So you are Melchior.
No, Artorias. The one who most wants to spill your blood is me!
Master Artorias, allow me to quiet this demon.
Out of my way!
Learn your place, you abominable demon!
I'm not finished.
Why? Doesn't it hurt? Aren't you in pain? Why, Velvet? Why do you go on fighting?
Because Laphicet knew so much more pain than I ever will. And still, I couldn't do anything for him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Velvet.
Colluding with demons. Number 2, your punishment must be severe. Kill the demon, then end your own life.
No.
Have you forgotten our pact? Your mistress is giving you an order.
I'm sick of your orders!
That aura.
I don't want Velvet to die!
Sister!
Rokuro, into the portal!
Right.
Hey! Don't forget me! You cannot escape!
Innominat's power reacting with the Earth Pulse. Extraordinary.
I begin to see. Still, giving your brother's name to a Moloch. You've strayed so far.
Velvet, wake up.
Oh, just let me sleep a little more, Celica.
You rascal. Don't you remember the task I entrusted you with?
The task?
Yes. I asked you to take care of him.
Well, that seems to heavily imply that Ceres was Celica in that dream. So there is a lot to take in.
Where am I? Did they kill me? My wounds are gone. Bad fever.
Please, don't die, Velvet.
You saved my life. Now it's my turn to save you.
Well, that has not gone well at all for our party. So we are all split up.
First, we've got to get out of here.
We are in a very crazy looking dungeon. We could see the green ocean beneath us. You can see rocks in the sky. Doesn't look like we're in any kind of normal place. So we're gonna carry around Laphicet in his king crown and all, and try to escape this place. They mentioned something about an Earth Pulse, which was mentioned very briefly in Zestiria. But I guess now we're seeing it a bit close up. So there are no real items to go for.
Just hang in there, Laphicet.
We're going to be taking the teleports as quickly as possible. I know, it was such a reasonable plan. It's very true, Chris. So we could see Laphicet getting a lot more attached to Velvet, and Velvet, I guess, showing compassion towards other characters. This hasn't happened in a while. So I would say this is good for her in general.
It should be around here somewhere.
Let's try to find the exit, chat. I will warn you, though, if you're playing this game for the first time, this area is actually very difficult when it gets to the combat, due to the number of spellcasters throughout, so I will warn you, if you are not used to fighting spellcasters, you might want to try to avoid combat for a bit.
Crap. Which way do we go now?
So all we could do is just keep teleporting, chat. Hopefully I'm not going backwards. That would make me feel sad. Nope, we're making progress. That's good.
Where is this place anyway?
So the game gives us some mercy that we don't have to solo fight anything as Velvet before reaching our first destination. So thank you, game. The soloing this on a high difficulty is kind of interesting.
Where's the exit? What the hell is this place?
It's an Earth Pulse.
So you survived.
Let's not count our blessings just yet. It looks like we've been sealed inside. But at least we're still alive. Can't say the same would be true if we stayed in that place.
An Earth Pulse. So that's what this is.
Yeah. It's like a river flowing with nature's life energy. Earth pulses can be found all over the world, but normally you can't see or interact with them.
Then how'd we wind up inside one?
When Innominat and Laphicet's power collided, the shock must have torn it open. If that's the case, it's possible that Laphicet possesses the power to return us home, but... he can't do much in this state. He's liable to turn into a demon any moment now.
Don't talk like that. Is this because he overused his powers?
It's not too late to stop it. If a Moloch occupies a pure vessel, he can be prevented from transforming into a demon.
Even you?
This lucky coin is my vessel. There's a catch to this one, though. It can only serve as a vessel for someone with the Reaper's powers.
Then that's no help at all.
An exorcist would work. We offer our own bodies as vessels for Malachim, so that we can use them for the Abbey's purposes. I volunteer to serve as your Moloch's vessel.
I see. So we just need your body with us, not your legs.
Not one step closer! I'll kill myself before you lay a hand on me. The Moloch will become a demon, and you'll be stuck here forever.
You don't mince words, do you?
Know your foes and strike where they're weak. The basis of all combat.
As cowardly as I'd expect from a disciple of Artorias.
No, this is personal. Once I regain my exorcist powers, I vow to challenge you, Demon Velvet! If I lose, I'll do whatever you wish. If you want me to die or to become a vessel, so be it.
Velvet, don't die.
Fine.
What's the Moloch's name? Normally, it is decided by their masters, but since I do not own him yet, I need to know.
He's not a thing to be owned. He's Laphicet.
Laphicet. I see. O child of the Fountain of Creation, these vows we exchange. May our purpose, resplendent, help to purify this cursed world. Remember this true name I bestow unto you. Such power!
How the hell did we end up here? What's going on?
That little brat! He actually unsealed the Earth Pulse?
What was that?
Huh. Guess this is the end of the Velvet World Tour Revenge-a-thon. What an anticlimax. Not that I really care either way.
We don't know that she's dead.
Dead or alive, she's done. No way she'd keep going after seeing how outmatched she is. Betcha 10 gold that I'm right.
10 gold? You're on.
in the...
Fluffy said, what did that exorcist do?
What happened to you?
Velvet World Tour Revenge-a-thon should be a stream title. Oh, you know what, chat? I was thinking of a cutscene later on. My bad.
So that exorcist woman pledged herself as Laphicette's vessel? Where did she head off to, then?
If you two wound up here, then odds are that exorcist has appeared somewhere nearby.
Then we'll find her.
Sheesh, are you never not worked up about something?
I said I would save him, so I will. Besides, his power is just what I need.
Don't you forget our little wager now, alright?
My darling Ten Gold, murdered in his crib by a thug!
So we
won't let her get away from me.
We've now moved into a new dungeon. If we take a look at our menu, we no longer have Laphicette. Chat saying that that Eleanor felt the power of all the herbs. It's very true. I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to at least get to the surface, but I have a feeling a lot of the things that involve Eleanor we'll wait till later to resolve. So we'll go a little further, chat. So I think the next time we're in an Earth Pulse is one of my favorite series of events, but we're not quite there yet. I forgot that it doesn't happen that early. That's fine. So if I remember correctly, this is the silly room with all the souls. Isn't there like a hidden passageway here? Oh no, I'm thinking of a different room. I'll have to find that very silly room, but I'll take this chest in the meantime. We got a new weapon for Magilu, which is great because she's only been using her basic weapon. Unfortunately, it is a massive downgrade in terms of stats, but we'll take the ability versus crustaceans plus 10%. Just to teach her something new. So our goal is probably going to be the same thing in this dungeon as well. We want to get into as few fights as possible. Because we don't have a full party. So I will also be avoiding, I think, as many encounters even leading to the next area as possible. We'll come back and maybe do a couple fights once we have everybody, but right now we're all split up. Or at least some of us are split up, I should say. Yeah, I think I'll steal the Velvet World Tour for next time. That'll definitely be the next stream title. So all we could do for now is progress through this very mysterious location. We're not even sure where we are or why we're here. We don't have characters that are able to really explain it outside of maybe Magilu, since she seems to recognize what an Earth Pulse is.
You're strong.
Unfortunately, I got into a combat. These enemies are kind of hard to stun. Oh, because their focus is 756. That makes more sense to me, chat. That makes a lot more sense. Well, all I could do is just kind of finish the one I'm hitting. And that was not enough to kill. Ooh, got the combo reset. That's all that was needed. Perish.
Did you think you could escape me?
I mean, I would not be surprised if Magilu names all the streams, chat. It's a good point.
Oh no, a dead end! And so the adventure came to a close in a most sudden and unsatisfying manner!
Look, that wall is cracked. That means...
Okay, so we've shown off, I think, Rokuro. We've shown off Velvet. We've shown off Laphicet. Let's see how she deals with walls. Oops, forgot to make her the actual party member. My bad.
Ah, is it the witching hour?
It is indeed the witching hour. How do you deal with walls? I just give it a little shove. Dead-end walls. Some walls that appear to be dead ends may be destroyed by examining them. Oh, game. Game, we already opened the wall. I'm too quick for you. I'm too quick, chat. I guess we'll just play as Magilu for a little bit. Actually, what I should do...
I can handle...
is play as Aizen, so that way we can see his wall opening animation. But generally speaking, I will probably want Velvet to do it, because I just like her little animation for it. Well, I don't feel like dealing with any of those enemies, but we're gonna head south. We can see a familiar merchant up ahead.
Exorcists are actually the vessels for their Malakim. You can do that too, can't you, Magulu?
Of course! This fair maiden has won the Malakim's Choice Award, Most Desirable Vessel, 3 years running.
Oh? Then you wouldn't mind replacing Eleanor as Laphicet's vessel, I hope.
Thanks, but no thanks. I have my hands full dealing with Bienfu as it is.
If I ate Bienfu, you'd have room.
Still wouldn't work, kiddo. You saw it with your own eyes. Even if only for an instant, that kid actually held his own against the power of Inominat. Not even the resplendent Magilu can handle something of that power.
Indeed. After everything we've seen, it's obvious there's more to Laphicet than meets the eye.
Yeah, but that Eleanor woman was still able to become his vessel.
That's because, unlike Miss Magilu, Madame Eleanor actually tries!
Anyway, we need to find her and beat her. She'll just bring us more trouble the longer she's out there.
Oh, we'll find her. No doubt about it.
This looks like some kind of ruin. Where are we?
Judging from the style of the walls and columns, I'd say this place is an ancient underground temple of Eumacia.
Eumacia, the Empyrean of Earth.
So it was by no coincidence that the Earth Pulse led us here.
How did the temple builders know where to dig to connect to an Earth Pulse? Did they just get lucky? Just wham, there it is?
An Earth Pulse doesn't work that way. It's a flow of natural force ordinary humans can't sense. But in those days, there were more humans capable of sensing that which others couldn't. It was people like that who guided the rest to build their temples closer to the Earth Pulses, closer to their gods.
Uh-huh.
So, since Empyreans control the forces of nature, people viewed the Earth Pulses as embodiments of the gods themselves. Is that it?
Right. In the time when Empyrean worship was at its peak, temples like this were built all over.
And I'm guessing they all looked pretty similar, so until we go outside, we're no closer to knowing where we are.
That sums it up.
I wonder if they found any high-quality ore when they dug this hole. You know, for making swords.
I don't know why I bother explaining anything to you.
You know, I'm starting to think you just enjoy it.
Poor Aizen got called out. So, they brought up a few things that actually get mentioned later. So, they talk about the temples being built on Earth Pulses, which is a very pertinent plot point for much later in the game. We see that Rokuro has an obsession with swords and ore, which will be coming up very, very soon. I think as soon as we leave this temple, actually. And, I think that's about it for now, without going to super spoiler territory. Looks like we got a new piece of equipment. Thorny Waistcoat. Plus 30% defense when HP is 8% or lower. That's not a bad panic ability to have. It's kind of rare on the highest difficulty you stay at 8%, as I said before, but at least we got an upgrade there. Oh, speaking of which, let's see how you deal with this. Oh, you just step forward and punch it. See, you look like you're the only one that should probably realistically break it.
Why, certainly.
Now, this room is fantastic early in the game. If you're trying to get cat spirits, just constantly leave and come back, chat. Just walk to this room each time. So I don't think I explained how the cat spirits regenerate. We talked about how merchants reset, but not the cat spirits. So the cat spirits, as long as you're in the dungeon, they won't come back. But if I were to teleport out using a bottle, which I can't because of plot reasons for the moment. But if I were to teleport out and then re-enter the dungeon, all the cat spirits will reset. So I think early on, before I unlocked the super dungeon, I actually came back to this place a lot. I either went to this room or one much later on. And by later on, I mean technically closer to where you spawn in if you were to teleport here. So between those two locations, I built up a lot of souls. I thought there was an herb here somewhere. I'm glad we came back this way. So we can increase art defense, but little boy isn't here, so we're not going to go ahead and use those herbs. So we see there's a merchant on the other side, although currently there's a side quest / skit in the way. But it's another familiar face, chat. Look who it is.
Ah! You guys again?
Well, look who set up shop here.
You couldn't have shown up at a better time. We need more supplies.
I'm happy to help you all, but this time I really needs to charge a little extra.
How much extra are we talking here?
Ooh, you haven't heard the stories, little turtles. Word has it, there's a spooky monster that's been eating traveling merchants around these parts.
Eating merchants?
She takes the shape of a black-haired girl, and when she finds greedy merchants, she gobbles them up head first. Although, if the greedy merchant was a turtle's, I bet she'd start with the crunchy shell.
Ah! I'm not greedy, I swears it. Look, I had special sales going on. Everything's marked down to normal prices.
How generous of you. Magulu, give the nice turtles the smile he lives for.
Always a pleasure.
Much obliged.
We're turtles. White Turtle says, I can't believe these guys. I'm a turtles and I can't even make a good deal. Poor turtles, chat. Hey, we got new equipment. Oh, we got 2 different abilities here. Now, what's kind of sad is I think you can get capability ups for characters that are not capable of causing status ailments. I don't think Laphicet can poison. We'll double check this. I know there are skills you can technically get capability ups, but you cannot perform. I'm not sure why the game does that, chat. I think it's either Laphicet or Aizen. Between those 2 characters, they have abilities they can't cause, but can technically upgrade. I think they oops that, chat. They definitely should have probably had a move that did that. But we're gonna go ahead and purchase all those items. And we'll continue onwards for now. So I'm gonna try to avoid going to the plot. I think this is not plot. I feel less certain now that I've gone this way, but we'll try to not plot for a little bit. I want to make sure we don't see that star icon anywhere we go, chat. Because we haven't explored this dungeon yet, I'm not allowed to see where the plot star is yet. If we do see it, I'm going to turn around. Good, it looks like we've dead-ended for the moment. Nice, we got more cat spirits. I think this is the first time we've had like a significant surplus. Because we've been hovering around 4,500, which is about what we came into the game with. Ooh, we are getting progressively weaker items, which is a shame. But if we get new capabilities, I guess. So I guess that's the trade-off. Do we weaken ourselves to learn new skills, or just go as is? Generally speaking, I'm always going to be trying to learn a new skill. Worst comes to worst, I'll put them in reserve. So that's excellent. We did not go the correct way the first time. I would say it was instinct onto which path to take, but I played this game a few too many times to call it instinct. I just kind of half remember. We'll call it half remembering, chat. So far, we've only gotten to 1 encounter, which is great for us. So pretty smooth sailing so far. And we have another cat's chest up ahead, so goodbye all the spirits that we collected. Chat, we have a wall we can open. I'm gonna let you decide, chat. Whose animation do you want to see on the wall? We're gonna ignore the wall for a little bit. I'll give you a few dozen seconds or so to decide what character is gonna open that wall. So let's see, we have the drop earring left. This item first draws the gaze and then diverts it to the wearer's eyes. So I'm just going to take a look at whatever the first response is. Oh, just immediately Magilu. There was no hesitation on that. So I'm going to go this way first. We'll see if there's any other decisions made. I should probably wait to do this, but we'll save here. We'll see if we could do this.
You're strong, but I'm strong.
Hello, Spider Queen. You have a phenomenal amount of focus. And you have a lot of nasty elements. We're going to try to keep that in mind. Now, we can see its abilities. Iron Stance granted up to 5 hits while casting. For those of you not aware of what this terminology means from a Tales standpoint, Iron Stance is basically the equivalency of super armor, where they can absorb up to 5 hits and their cast will still go through, but on the 6th hit, they will stop casting and be interrupted as normal. So we can also bypass this to some extent by playing as Velvet, because her Consuming Claw also breaks guard instantly, so I believe it just completely ignores Iron Stance. I immediately got hit and paralyzed. That is not ideal whatsoever. That is unfortunate. Unfortunately, I'm slowed, so I'm not able to dodge. When I'm paralyzed, I'll also randomly not be able to do things. So I have to be a little careful here. So I'm not in a good position at the moment. Now I am, because I'm able to dodge. The monster is weak to fire and wind, which I'm able to trigger. So the only thing I'm missing is Demi-Human and Fiend. But otherwise, I'm able to hit quite a few things on my own. Oh, hello, Magilu. Sure. I'm gonna tell her to probably not do that when I'm in a boss fight. Oh, I left her on you decide. I'm gonna let them change out. I think it's okay to let them change out. I don't think it's okay for them to burn my Mystic Art like that, because, unfortunately, the boss was not stunned, so that did, like, no damage. But we'll do this. That's kind of a I should have known better moment. I can fix that.
Let's go! Hurricane! Hurricane!
So unfortunately, because she did that, I'm not able to actually chain Mystic Arts anymore. So that's kind of unfortunate on a lot of levels. Well, that kind of sucked because I got slowed, and that means I can't dodge, and therefore the boss just got free hits on me. That kind of sucked. Not what I was intending to do whatsoever. Okay, I'm gonna Consuming Claw out of the boss's combo, which is also a thing Velvet can do, which is phenomenal and very unfair. But I'll take it, Chad. I'll take it. Oh no, he teleported in. That was the most dangerous of directions.
Ready to die? Think you can dodge? Just try.
Ooh.
No escape.
I'm in trouble. I'm probably dead. Yeah. I realized the boss's Iron Stance there is exactly the thing that will kill Aizen, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Aizen. Oh.
No, I can't.
Well, that was just kind of unfair. Huh. That escalated quickly. Well, I knew the boss was gonna cast spells at some point, but that kind of messed me up, unfortunately. Man, it's really hard to spell absorb when they cast that quick.
No, I can't.
Yeah, I don't think the AI is able to beat this boss. This is kind of a problem. I'm now slowed, so I can't dodge. I think I'm dead, chat. I don't think I could do anything while slowed. I have to take this damage. I'm dead. That's unfortunate. We'll come back to it later. It's fine. Yeah, see, the problem is I forgot that boss had slow, and that honestly will make the fight unwinnable. So I got into a bad state where I started the combat off down a soul because I just got, like, instantly hit. Like, honestly, I couldn't even react to what the boss did. It just instantly hit us. And because of that, I started down souls, I started down blast gauge, I started down health, and I just couldn't get my momentum back after that happened. So we're just gonna go ahead and open up this wall. We'll come back to that boss. Yeah, it's much harder because we don't have a full party, so I can't even take advantage of the swap mech. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, also this was a big reason that we lost, is because she burned the blast meter. So, like, I would have been able to one-combo the boss, which I started doing, but the problem is I forgot who had the blast gauge on that last attack. So I hit the wrong character, so I also didn't get a chain of blast gauge, which I normally don't have to care about, but because the AI burned all 3 bars on like a really stupid Mystic Art, I'm not able to get full damage. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to disable that pretty much as soon as possible, because I don't like the AI using Mystic Arts. Unless I'm in casual encounters, then I don't care. But normally I like to build up a lot of blast gauge, and I do not appreciate it when the game decides to use it on like a not stunned enemy. If the enemy was stunned, I would understand, but like they just kind of use it just to use it, which is not ideal. So we're gonna continue forward. We're gonna do that again when we have a full party, because I'm sure we could do it, especially if we have Laffy set. Like, no doubt. Like, I don't have to change anything with my approach other than disabling their blast gauge usage. Let's see. So we're almost at a good point to stop. I just want to make sure that we collect our party members, and I think that'll be it for today's stream. We'll get revenge on the boss, I think, tomorrow. Again, I don't think we really even need to level or get equipment. It's just more not have Magilu burn 3 blast gauge, and also having people to swap out to would be good. Because that also means, like, if I get slowed, for example, which is one of the most deadly ailments in the game, I find that more deadly than paralysis burn, or like literally everything else. Slow is the worst because, as you saw, that boss needed 5 hits to be interrupted on most of their abilities, and that boss does a ton of damage. So if I can't dodge, which is what slow does, and I can't move quickly, I can't get out of the way of that like 1,800 damage attack on this difficulty. So that is not a good combination of things to happen. So we'll want to focus on things that reduce the amount of slow duration, which I think we do actually have. I think we have one that reduces by 40%. And we want to try to take advantage of that as much as possible. It's okay. So we can see what kind of threats we're going to be dealing with very soon. But let's see what happens when we leave the temple.
I thought you'd be long gone.
I apologize for disappearing on you. I was there, and then in the next moment, I was gone.
And Laffy?
He's resting inside me. As far as I can tell, he seems healthy again.
Your name's Eleanor, right? If I defeat you, you'll be his vessel and follow my orders until the day you die.
I accept. But conversely, should you lose, I will take your life.
Do you plan on fighting alone?
I can handle myself.
So now it is Velvet versus Eleanor, chat. And it's a solo fight. This'll be fun. So this is normally where we get the Guardbreaker's Ventite, which is very, very, very good in a normal playthrough. As you've seen me guarding before, it gives me a little bit of things like Blast Gauge, Soul, and the ability to instantly hit through guard. And I think this is officially where you would, in a normal playthrough, get the ability to guaranteed a guard breaking attack by blocking. So this is our opportunity to get something good normally, but we already have it, so.
I see you're not using Lafisa to help you fight.
Of course. This duel is me versus you.
I'd better not hear any excuses after your defeat then.
Here it comes! Here it comes!
Ooh, I dodged wrong. I haven't stunned her yet. She's got a really high stun rate. There we go. So I'm taking some damage. I have to be careful. Also, I'm kind of at a disadvantage. I didn't realize I was out of Blast Gauge. So that's kind of my bad. I did not really want to do this without Blast Gauge, but we'll try our best. Ooh, she broke my guard. This is actually bad. Oh no, I gave over to Eleanor. We'll retry. See, so now this is the problem that Berseria has with Berseria. If you don't have Blast Gauge, you're kind of in trouble. So I'm kind of in trouble, chat. She does a lot of damage on this difficulty. I promise I will beat this, but she is not easy solo. Which is kind of unfortunate. I think I need to dodge sideways when she does the overhead strike.
Better not hear any excuses after your defeat then.
There we go. I had to dodge backwards for that one. So again, this is kind of difficult to win without items on this difficulty. We are playing on a difficulty you are not supposed to be playing on. Which is the insane difficulty with, or not insane, I think the one above that. Without all the full buffs and without all the full gear. Tried backdashing, but it went sideways. See, I think the problem there is she just kind of super armored through her attack, which is absolutely not good, chat. We do not want her to do that. Okay, it's going a little better this time, because I didn't get hit by her power hit. I'm gonna go take that other soul. We definitely need that. Man, she got that full combo on me. That sucks. Ooh, she did a lot of damage to us. That's bad.
No mercy! Wounds that won't heal! Part of it!
There we go, chat. We're brute forcing it. There we go. Much better.
How could I be so weak?
Much better. Yeah, I definitely needed that Mystic Art.
We're done here.
Never let your guard down, even when victorious!
Why did you stop?
I know you can't kill me as long as I'm his vessel. I'm just abiding by the same terms.
Had you won, you'd have killed me.
True, but a duel is a duel.
The Abbey shaped you well. However... Once your sword is drawn, never waver. Control your feelings to control the tide of battle, right?
Lord Artorias' teachings? What a failure I have been. I'll keep my word. I will follow your orders. To the day I die! Don't! My body, I can't move! How? Since when can a Moloch overpower his own vessel?
Laphicet, are you feeling better now?
Yeah.
Looks like her body is reacting to the bond.
Yeah, I know the drill. She'll get a high fever and stay zonked out for a bit. No biggie.
Carrying her will slow us down. We can't afford that risk when we're venturing into parts unknown.
Let's rest here until she's recovered, then. She's one of us now, isn't she? As long as she's Laphicet's vessel.
That's true.
So there we go. On the rematch, we beat it without any items. That felt kind of good. And we got our Shell Shredder ability. We already have the Guardbreaker's Ventite. So I think we could just go ahead and switch out to something a bit more powerful, because I'd prefer a bit more defense. So hopefully the chat is enjoying the highest... Actually, what is the name of the highest difficulty? Chaos. Hope chat is enjoying the Chaos playthrough so far. We could see the enemies definitely could still kill me, so we've managed to elevate the game far beyond intended. So that's good.
I'll look after Madame Eleanor. You know, I just remembered. After Miss Mogilou and I made our pact, she couldn't stop sneezing and sniffling for months. That happened right when spring was starting.
Or Bienfu. Bienfu says, Madame Eleanor is so sincere all the time. Compared to Mogilou, it's like the moon next to a cracker or something. It's quite a comparison. So I think what we're going to do, chat, is we're going to talk to each of these characters, and we're going to hold off on actually leaving this place until next time.
A demon, a Moloch, a witch, and now an exorcist. We've turned into a real band of misfits.
I didn't have any other choice. We're stuck with her.
Yeah, I know. We can't afford to lose Laphicet. Now that we know the full extent of Inominat's strength, we need that boy more than ever.
Do you think Inominat really is an Empyrean?
You got me, but I do know this. Whatever he is, he's no ordinary Moloch. And the Abbey intends on using that power. To what end, I couldn't say.
If we're going to win this, we need to uncover Inominat's true nature and the Abbey's secret goals.
Indeed. At the very least, I think we can safely assume that Ifrid's disappearance is part of their schemes. We might be able to extract some information out of that Eleanor woman as well.
Agreed. But no torture. I'm not shattering our only vessel.
Yeah, I get that. Given the pact they share, if Eleanor goes down, Laphicet becomes a demon, right?
What? No one told me that.
That's just how it is between Moloch and Vessel. I know she's a threat, but we need to keep her close for the time being.
Well, we sure are in it deep now.
That complicates things. Aizen says Laphicet and Mogilou went outside for fresh air. Well, let's speak to Rokuro and then we'll use the save point.
Man, Artorias and Inominat. Either one of them's a force to be reckoned with.
Then why do you look so happy?
Because I'm still alive. And if I'm alive, I can fight.
You're certainly optimistic.
That's just the sort of demon I am. What about you, though? You gonna call that whole revenge thing off?
If only. That's just the sort of demon I'm not.
Then we need to find a way to beat them. You can mope after you're dead.
You're still going to help?
Yeah. After all, I wouldn't be here if Laphicet hadn't saved my life. Surely you know me by now. I might not look it, but duty and honor flow through my veins.
Hey, Rokuro, what do you have to say? Forget about Mogilou, just thank Laphicet. Fair enough. We're gonna collect some items here so I don't forget about them later, and we're gonna collect these spirits. I like to run into this room just for some extra spirits. There we go. So I think we made a lot of progress today. We got to see what happens when we go to fight Artorias. The answer is we lose. We got to see Inominat's power, which is enough to blow back everybody in the party at the moment and basically defeat us single-handedly. So let's switch over to the end of the stream formally. I feel like we had some interesting characterizations from the party in terms of, I would say, some relationship building. I mean, we could see kind of the rivalry kind of budding between Aizen and Rokuro. And we could see things like Laphicet is starting to be looked after by Velvet and vice versa. There seems to be more of a connection going on there. We get to see their very sane plans, yes. We got to see got you, got you, got you, got you. It's very true. Velvet's just letting them know. It's her version of You're Wide Open. She's just letting them know, chat. So, the game is a little harder than I thought it would be on Chaos with our current buffs, which is not a bad thing, because I definitely feel like if we'd carried over everything onto New Game Plus, I would absolutely walk over every encounter. So I'm glad that there are encounters that can kill us. I think it was a good call by chat to give the extra 1,000 health, but not the extra 2,000 health. Because I feel like with the 2,000 health, we would not really be threatened. Because most of the time they like just barely kill us or put us really close. And I feel like it's definitely a more interesting playthrough than I was expecting. So thank you, chat, for voting for that. So far, I think it's going pretty well for the most part. I mean, obviously, I didn't think I'd beat the Code Red Demon without the full party. That I was expecting. That was just kind of hubris on my part. But kind of surprised Eleanor actually put up a fight. But some of that has to do with just not having Blast Gauge. So it is what it is. So just remember that, chat. If you ever play Berseria, respect the Blast Gauge. Always go into boss battles with Blast Gauge. Don't make the same mistake I did. It just makes it harder for you. Because Blast Gauge gives you that free soul. It's that extra boost of damage. It's very good for combo ending. It's very, very solid. So as you'll see as we get later on, now that we have at the moment 4 characters that can loop through the Blast Gauges, our goal will be potentially to not get a 4-person combo, but a 5-person Mystic Art chain. And by doing that, we could bypass some of the difficulty of some of the hardest fights by knowing that you could chain those Mystic Arts together, and we'll be abusing that. Most definitely. Now, at the moment, we're not allowed to have a huge amount of Blast Gauge, so it's a little harder to prep for the boss fights, which I think is good. I think it would be kind of unfair at this state of the game if, due to our bonuses, we just gave ourselves like 8 Blast Gauge or some nonsense. I feel like the chat would boo me if I was allowed 8 Blast Gauge. My Mystic Art combo would last so long. I feel like the boss fight would just be all Mystic Art combos. But I think we're seeing a showcase of the different enemy abilities. So this is, I guess, a more realistic expectation of the playthrough versus the bosses. So far, I'm having a good time. I hope the chat is having a good time. So even though I die a couple times, I don't feel like we miss out on too much. I don't feel like the boss fights drag out too long. And I feel like maybe the spider boss was maybe touched too long, but I feel like I was also kind of close to still winning it. Yeah, you would just hear no mercy. It's true. It's true. If I had 9 Blast Gauge, chat, all you hear is no mercy, wounds that won't heal. No mercy, wounds that won't heal. And it will just keep looping. That poor boss. So now that we have going on 6 potential party members, at the moment we know we'll have 5. We could get some pretty crazy combos with it. I think at this point, when we get Laphicet back in the party, I want to double check to see if he unlocked his Mystic Art, because that is a game changer in our combos. Because he's not currently able to use Mystic Arts, so I feel he's actually more of a liability up until around this point in the game. And around this point, I started playing him more and went, okay, he's not bad. But as we get further and further into the game, you're gonna go, oh no, that's not fair. Why does he have this? Isn't he supposed to be bad at melee? And I'm like, okay. He's just one of the better spellcasters that can melee, sure. Whatever, that's fair. Just roll our eyes, chat. But for tomorrow, it sounds like we're going to try to venture outside the temple. We're going to wait for Eleanor to wake up and recover from her fever, which we recognize from Zestiria as being a side effect of having a pact with a Seraphim / Malakim. And given Laphicet is very powerful, it actually completely incapacitated her. So they were kind of hinting that a little bit with the Berseria dialogue, where Bienfu did not really cause her to become sick, so she has a pretty high tolerance, it seems, compared to taking on Laphicet. And yes, chat, we decided that we're gonna go basically beat her up and or kill her while Laphicet is trying to recover. We are 10 out of 10 on the character strategies and plots and plans, chat. We're thinking like 20 steps ahead, chat, don't worry. So next time we're gonna venture out of the temple, and we're gonna come across a certain ore-related event, and we're also going to learn more information about Shigure. So Shigure was very briefly mentioned in today's stream, but we'll be hearing about him a bit more in the next stream. So hope you all had a good time, and for now, I will say thank you for joining, and hopefully you have a good day or a good night, depending on the time zone.